that, I like to sniff loudly at the start of streams, at the start of conversations, signpost my crippling addiction to cocaine, let people know exactly what to expect. Here we are back with the white boy, the big chungus, with Clavius.
Hail to you,
You know,
champion.
it's clothing time. The good old Fireclaws druid who continues to kind of like, ah, the duality of it, you know, the great contradiction, the riddle of riddles. Do we love it or do we hate it? It's both. It's a passionate relationship, you know, it's mercurial. Sorry, but not sorry. You know, I will not apologize for the nature of my relationship with the bear. It's unusual, but we make it work. No, just as I said, there's nothing about the bear that has like made me sad, has taken me by surprise at all. But plenty of stuff about the bear that I've been like kind of like, okay, yeah, all right, pop off bear. You know, that sort of stuff, 100%. I've genuinely had some moments where I've been like, you know, hell yeah, you know, we stand a bear king. Anyway, we're gonna put this back on players one because, you know, like everything is immune to fire in Act 3. You know, paper is immune to fire in Act 3. Matches are immune to fire in not Act 3. You know what? We could actually be discussing Act 4. You know, I may have gotten that wrong, possibly. But yeah, like as I say, in this act, freaking matches are immune to fire. Everything is immune to fire. Don't worry about it. Your kids' pajamas, immune to fire. Wow, that's good. Everything else, not so much. The petrol in your car's tank, immune to fire. Sorry. No internal combustion for you. Um, Everything's just immune to fire, man. Like, just don't worry about it. And, but, you know, look, on players one, we just chunk through, it's not a problem. Like, this is not award-winning DPS, you know, but like, this is a Fireclaw Druid just like 3 and 4 shotting regular enemies reasonably comfortably, like even though they're fire immune, just because like, hey, well, you know, we just know it's gonna be rough here, so let's just, you know, chunk it back down to lower players settings so we can just sort of get it done and just get it done. Like no one wants to spend time in this act anyway, right? There's no reason to spend time here. They made this act like really unforgiving and just, you know, an all-round bad place to farm. It's the maps suck. Finding super uniques on the map sucks. But they're really dense with just like regular enemies that for whatever reason just don't even give that much EXP. But I'm like, don't get me wrong, like I actually like, I like the fact that this act feels so hostile and even kind of like a item desert, even kind of like an EXP desert or something, because it's like, you gotta remember, like this was the final act in the OG game, so it feeling kind of like oppressive and hostile and just like a place you don't actually want to go. I feel like that was like right on the money for like the theming. Man, I love how like I don't move my cursor like at all, but somehow it targets like sequentially. I get 3 enemies down to 1 shot, and like it targets, you know, it just targets everything but what I have 1 shot until, you know, everything is 1 shot, and then it just doesn't matter anymore. But it's just like really actually slowing down my ability to like chip down the enemy's numbers or like focus, like, you know, focus down anything. And I swear all of this just comes from the game being controller compatible now. Like the targeting in this game is so fucked compared to how it was in LOD. And like,
Greetings.
yeah, it's just sad because I don't think it needs to be that way. Like I think you can do Although, I don't know, in an isometric game, like... Wait, can these guys just not be stunned? I mean, that's not a huge problem, because Doom Knights are... Like... I don't know, they can be stunned. But yeah, obviously, like, Doom Knights are dangerous. But, like... They're dangerous in a way that's, like, really... Like, you know, just keep kiting away. Just keep kiting away, not letting them surround you. You know, try to fight as few of them as a time. You know, as few of them at a time as possible. I swear, if I could speak, I'd be dangerous. Like, you know, they're just HP sponges that can do a lot of damage. But there's nothing about them that's, like... stupidly overtuned. But yeah, I totally understand people who say that this act feels unfinished. But also, like, let's be real. Did anyone want more of this? Like, does anyone, like, play this act and think to themselves, like, oh, you know what? I wish I could have spent another, like, 20 minutes going through the Plains of Despair. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not the most, like, exploration-friendly act. And, I mean, Christ, people skip Izuel, which is one of the best rewarded quests in the game.
Hail to you, champion.
And technically also one of the safer side quests to do in the game. Because as long as you don't have souls here, you can kind of, like, you can pretty safely just, like, run through this entire map. And then what you can do is, like, you can grab Izuel. And he will follow you for eternity. You can literally run back to, like, the entrance of the dungeon if you want. And he'll follow you all the way back there. So you just isolate a 1v1 with him and chunk it out. And people will skip that because, you know, if Izuel doesn't spawn, like, in a relatively predictable spot, it's just not worth the time to go searching for him, even for 2 free skill points. And you see that, you see people do that. It's like no one wants to spend more time on this act than they have to. And don't get me wrong, like, I think that's actually good. That's kind of correct. He just got, like, whatever. It's the curse. The curse. We know what the curse. Like, come on, fucking curse. It's the stupidest thing in the game. Like, in a modern game, there's no way things like the curse would exist. Like, they just wouldn't exist at all. Or they'd be on some kind of, like, internal cooldown system where, like, you can only get cursed, like, once a minute or something, and it's just like... Or you'd have some, like, skill, some, like, anti-curse skill. So that, like, realistically, everyone would just spec into anti-curse skill and not get cursed. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, shit that's, like, that brutal, like, just doesn't really exist in a lot of modern games. Like, setting aside, like, niche games that are clearly trying to, like, you know, have kind of, like, a more retro difficulty feel. But, like, modern games are, like, don't get me wrong, modern games can be super hard. It's just hard in, like, a different way. Damn. As soon as we hit something that's not immune to fire on players 1, look how quickly it just absolutely evaporated. Like, again, I say it, like, this guy has a lot of problems, but damage is not one of them. And, like, yeah, of course, actually, like, pushing through the game with that damage, you're gonna take on a lot of stuff that, like, resists a lot of it. But as I've said before, if you build the bear like in a relatively smart way. Or at least from my perspective, this is what I think is a relatively smart way, right? And that's not to do that goofy thing of saying like, oh, well, he's a caster. He's a caster because he doesn't, because Fireclaw doesn't multiply your physical damage. Well, that just means he's a caster. So all I care about is attack speed and plus the skills. Well, yeah, that's fine. That's when you're literally going to hit a brick wall. When you can't, because one fire immune, it's a literal brick wall. It's like, okay, well now you're just a mole bot and your mercenary does everything. And it's just like, you can do it that way. You can do it that way, man. But I'm telling you, you're gonna get so bored. And you're gonna not even be playing the game for like a good chunk of the game, right? But like, just spec into some physical damage. Come on, like, look at this. This isn't even that bad. This is 1,000 to 5k damage. That's just the physical damage. The fire claws are just like doubling it. Like we're just getting like another. I mean, the fire claws have a way lower minimum damage, so like they're stacking on a lot of like average fire damage per swing, and it's just gravy. Like, I don't know. As I say, look, maybe I don't know anything. Maybe I don't know anything. I almost certainly know less than I think I do. I can admit that, right? But I feel like I'm having an okay time, and I don't feel like again, yeah, look, there's some stuff here that like you're not gonna have if you do this like solo self found, okay? But like you should like if you do solo self found like Fireclaw Bear and you can't get one of these, I don't know what to tell you, man. Just farm the countess until you got it. Like you could have this before your finished Nightmare. Like that's totally to be like something that you could happen, right? Like just randomly get the co and the foul drop, maybe get the co from the Hellforge, uh, whatever. But it's like it's definitely doable. And the base is kind of like, yeah, I mean, look, the Cryptic Axe base is especially nice, but like any elite polearm, just farm Nightmare Terror Zones until one drops, right? You're gonna want to get like EXP anyway because like you want to be over leveled as a melee character. Like just like trust me, like don't play this game like like you're speedrunning it if you want to have fun. Unless you have fun from like saying, oh, look how quickly I did that. But then it's like, okay, all right, fair enough. But if your main goal is just getting it done fast, like understand that there's going to be a lot of like fun tax on that, you know? And it's just like, look, part of this is like you have seen this playthrough. Like the only part that hasn't been streamed is a little bit of Act One. Okay, now yeah, I didn't have to take time to farm because I was able to just give myself these items. But like at least the EXP kind of sorts itself out. And this is the thing: is like if you do your like requisite amount of farming, right? Like you say to yourself, you know what? I'm just going to farm. I'm literally just gonna farm Nightmare Terror Zones and maybe Hell Countess until I have my Obedience in an Elite Base, until I have my Hustle, you know, uh, until I have a good hat, whether it's like a Rock Stopper or God, like, you get really lucky, you get a Yalals, you get a Shaco. Like, there's so many good hats you can just slot in here. Like, anything that gives you some plus skills. You could throw a Bulwark on for the extra life, for the damage reduction, for even the Leech, because, like, we do have physical damage on this build. Like, getting the hat slotted is easy. My Amulet's a piece of shit. Like, it has kind of the stats you want, but they're way too low for this level. But this is just a thing that was just gambled, right? So, like, you can gamble a good Amulet. To be honest, I'd lose that +1 skill for more resistances anyway. So, like, you can literally force the game to roll you a big all-res Amulet through the cube. So that's something you can easily do to sort that out. You just want resistances on your ring. Ravenfrost would be nice, but, like, hey, get a Death's Guard. Uh, you know, if it really, really comes down to it and you have to, you know, like the only thing I would say is like, yeah, you want the obedience, but like, God, if it really comes down to it, like maybe even just go with like a hustle and a rhyme, like a really good like one-handed club or axe or something, something that the druid works really well with, and then just go with a rhyme so you cannot be frozen. You know, dual res boots, easy to like gamble or just find. You know, just whatever gloves. Like they don't need, like, these are really nice, yeah, but like the main reason I'm wearing these is the fire resistance. If you believe it, right? It's crazy, but that's like the one thing I like, and like, you know, I have a kind of like boner for getting more of is fire resistance and just resistances in general, because like, without a shield we get hit a lot. But like, we'll just go through with this axe, right? Now this is a really good axe, but this is no better than a hustle. In fact, a hustle in a good elite base may be better than this. It doesn't have the, well, it doesn't have the deadly strike, right? And it doesn't have the open wounds. But like, who cares about the deadly strike and open wounds when you like just one-shot stuff? Like, these guys are going to take longer because they're immune to fire. But like, look, it just chunks them down. Like, as I say, this could very easily be a hustle. Like, I wouldn't use a hustle because, like, obviously the real ideal one is to have a hustle on your merc or something. And, look, the Reaper's Toll on the merc is, like, really nice, but, like, again, you give the merc a hustle, build yourself some, strong one-handed weapon, give yourself a rhyme. Like, the main thing, again, is just, like, whatever you do, just make it so this number isn't, like, nothing, And your life is just going to be so much easier. Like, we're just going through here with this axe, and these guys are immune to fire, but it's fine. We just chomp them down. At this point, the Fire Claws is just attack rate, basically. And, like, we can actually play a lot less safe with this setup. And this would actually be safer if it was a rhyme. Just because, like, A, I have more resist. B, I have a little bit of block. Just a little bit makes such a difference. And this is a terrible shield for blocking. But there's so many ways you can gear this bear to just be fine and just do more than enough damage on, like, players 1 when there's lots of fire immunes around, right? As soon as we get back to Act 5, it's going to be, like, breezy. But yeah, I give your merc a hustle and then take your hustle off and get a Juriel shell, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so many things you can do to, like, kind of gear yourself up to, like, roughly this level. The best items on this setup are kind of the least relevant, if that makes sense. Like, this, I think, is probably the best item. The charms are all quite nice, but honestly, I've said it before, I would rather just have resistance charms. But, like, again, look, we're just going through. We just got this little axe. And, like, this axe could be a Butcher's Pupil if you were, like, lucky you got a Pulverin or something. Just, like, upgrade a Butcher's Pupil to Elite Base and just beat the game with it. Like, like I say, it's just, like, have some physical damage. And then when you have a little bit of physical damage, you can do some, like, cool stuff. Like, one of the things that sucks about the bear is he's so wide that non-juvies just feel worthless to take, right? Like, when your health goes down like that, and that potion is genuinely going to take so freaking long to just top it back off again. But, like, that's what Bite is for. Put 1 point in Bite. But, like, Bite is worthless without physical damage, and yet I would argue Bite is one of the things that genuinely makes, like, if you don't have the ability to use Bite, it just sucks to play the bear. Like, you don't want to be playing the bear, because you're either going to have to constantly be, like, farming full juvies, or, I don't know, just have some, like, god tier setup where you don't take damage. Because health potions are very little value. But if you consistently keep hitting Bite, like, you can just top yourself up really nicely. And, like, we could get even more physical damage. This guy might aura, And then we just kill the fire immunes, like, even more safely. Like, it's just not a problem. And like, you know, look, I'm kind of spoiled because like this guy's amping my physical damage with like Reaper's Toll while also having the Holy Freeze and blah blah blah. But like trust me, a Might Aura is good. You know, you could have like he could have a Might Aura, he could have a Hustle. You know, you just have whatever the best one-handed damage stick you can get your hands on with like a Rhyme. And that's only if you can't find any other source of counter be frozen. Like if you can find any other source of counter be frozen, you just go with your obedience, and that's just your damage sorted forever. Like the one thing you are not going to need to finish this game is more damage than the obedience gives you. Because like look, I just switched back to the obedience, and now that these guys are actually players one spawns, like they're just two-shotted. It's just like you barely even notice that they're immune to fire. And it's like, you know, because you've got this buffing your damage, you put some points into the actual bear skill itself to buff your physical damage as a bear, and it's like, I get it, it doesn't synergize perfectly with Fire Claws, right? I understand it. So like but like, you know, like min-max for your post-game setup, if that makes sense, right? Like, I don't know, when you come back to your bear at some point, and your bear is just kind of like a trophy rack, and you're thinking like, okay, now how can I just, you know, sort my bear out so my bear is just like the ultimate fucking bear, right? It's just like the bear comes, everything just like hears the voice of God and falls over. When you're like theory crafting that, right? You're just like ultimate end game, supreme bear build, and you've got a, you know, something else to MF for you and blah 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 blah. Like when you're at that state of game, like it's post game, you know, then worry about min-maxing Fire Claws so that it's pure fire damage. But it doesn't matter because you've got a Sunder Charm and you've got the setup and you've got all this like reduced fire damage, and you've got all this like reduced fire resistance with skillers to like just massively like, you know what I mean? But like that, you're not gonna have that playing through the game. Like even for the average person, even if you are using a shared stash, you're not gonna have that just playing through the game. So just focus on what's gonna get you through the game, right? Like one of the things with skills like Fire Claws is it does so much freaking damage. Like I'm just so happy with this. Like I can't even, like this ability can like never get stronger than it currently is, and I'm just like, yep. You know what? I'll take a huge attack rating buff, like way more attack rating than you get with Maul. Like almost that by itself sells me on Fire Claws. And then it's just like, oh, okay, and then like 5k free fire damage, you know, against stuff that like isn't fire immune. And admittedly, a lot of stuff is fire immune in this game, man. Like, yeah, it sucks. But like, at least I can feel like a god against stuff that isn't. And then it's just like, but then how do I manage the stuff that is? And it's like, well, you're still a freaking bear. The bear still has a big multiplier on physical damage. You know, you're presumably going to be putting some points in Heart of Wolverine for more attack rating. That amps your physical damage. So, like, you're not necessarily doing... Like, you're not locking yourself off from having some, like, physical damage multiplier. Oh... Act 5 just like doing me a solid here, letting me just dance clear of that evil tile. But yeah, you don't even have, like, you can go with like a fire. I mean, the fire, if you're not using the obedience, like a fire Merc would be really good for like attack rating, but I don't know. It's probably better to have someone who just does like raw physical damage, might. Like honestly, if you're using a two-hander, like there could even be an argument for getting the guy who has thorns. Because like, you're just kind of like a fat wall of meat and you're constantly getting hit. And it's like you may as well be making the enemy like really pay for it when they do like ding you like that. Like it might even like give you like a surprising amount of like extra clear speed. But like on players 1, come on, this is just not like. Yeah, would a Fury Druid clear this quicker? Like a werewolf, 100%, not even a question. The problem is like, what is the? Hold on a second. The problem is that like the Fury Druid, he has this like completely one-dimensional build where it's like either you run in and you kill everything before you run out of life, or you kill everything while leeching enough life to like completely negate the damage they're doing, or you cannot win that fight. Like, you have no plan B aside from, like, lots of physical damage and a fat health pool. And a lot of leech.
Hail to you, champion.
So if you come up against something that you have to run into, that just, like, beats you, like, you know, fanaticism, might, extra strong, whatever, just some really strong enemies that just will blend you if you actually have to like stand there and fight them, and can chunk you down so fast that like even your big boy leech with your fat maul is like, you know, not necessarily going to cut the mustard, because you know, like, they can chunk you down in like 2-3 hits, and you could just miss twice and like die because you don't leech enough, like, and you just whiff a couple of times. So like, that's fun. Like, that's the price you pay with the druid. Like the Fury Druid, yeah, he like, by the numbers, like very strong in combat because he gets like lots of attack speed. He's super fast with like really like painfully hurting weapons. He can have good AR. And, you know, Fury is kind of like Fury is just a good damage skill, right? Because it's very much like, it's just like Werewolf Zeal, basically. And Zeal is a really good damage skill. I think Zeal might be uninterruptible and Fury might be interruptible, but either way, right? The problem is like, okay, yeah, but then what do you do? Like this guy has stun. The dog has literally nothing. And the dog has like no answer for physical immunities beyond, you know, having a Merc with Decrepify or an Ant Damage Applicator or something. Like, you do not have enough points to like spec into like Rabies or Fireclaw as a kind of backup skill for dealing with Stone Skins. Like, even if you have like god tier equipment with like lots of like plus skill, it's just not gonna, it's not gonna cut the mustard. So you just do physical damage as a wolf. And don't get me wrong, it's a pretty fun playstyle because it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like high octane, right? You're moving really fast, you're like constantly like getting in there, you kind of like, it, like, combat feels like risky because you can take a lot of damage, but then you can leech a lot of damage back. And if it all goes well, there's like a good amount of like dopamine to be had, just in the sense of like this is all pretty much cleared already. If I'm even with just this exact equipment, like we've just like just chewed it all up, right? But it's like the way I would explain it is like the Fury Druid will beat stuff. There are actually things that the Fury Druid is just better at than this guy. Like when I was like really struggling in Tarasha's Tomb, for example, like against enemies that like spawn other enemies and heal other enemies and resurrect other enemies and just those kind of like tar pit enemies. Like that's where your Fury Druid is just gonna like be kind of laughing because they're just walls of meat and he just chops through them like like he's just chopping down a tree, right? It's just free. He's just chewing his food basically because those enemies are rarely very dangerous to you. They're dangerous in the sense that they just physically take up a lot of space and like limit your movement options and and he just kind of goes nom 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 and takes all that space back. But like at the same time, there's just this like carpet of weak enemies that he could just consistently be like leeching off and proccing all his shit on and so on. So like it almost kind of works to his benefit to be like surrounded by trash all the time. So like I'm not saying that like there's nothing the Fury Druid can't do better, but it's just like generally speaking, he will usually win harder against stuff that like the bear will also win against. But it's like the bear can deal with a lot of things that the dog just loses to and has no answer to. Purely because of this, like just the power of like this hard CC. Like things like the Minions of Destruction, you just absolutely bully the dog. Or like a really like dangerous swarm of like Pit Lords, or Moon Lords. Even things like Stygian Dolls that just like, whoop, what's your answer to dolls apart from running away? Like this guy can corral them with Shockwave and let his Merc kill them. And like the dog can like get his Merc to kill Shockwaves too, to kill dolls too. But like like if the dolls themselves are just like really dangerous. He's a chunky boy. Pardon? Oh yeah, because I don't have what? No, I have Crushing Blow. Okay, alright. So why is this guy so tanky? Oh, Stone Skin. And immune to fire. But like, wow, look at the Decrepify plus Holy Freeze. It just turns them off. And we just like slowly chunk him down. Yeah, I'm actually using like the little axe here now just to like, I'm gonna try to get some open wounds or something going. The damage is kind of a wash. Why is so rare for the Hellforge not to be like easier than this? Why does my spirit just loves to like fly directly into the middle of packs of enemies. Oh. Gotta go pay the fun tax. I'm sorry, game. I'm sorry for enjoying myself. I'll do better next time. Pauldron, please. You absolute ball. I just want power runes, come on. It shouldn't be too much to ask. Lucky I'm so
Hail to you, champion.
But man, what a just like walkthrough of like Act 5. Not like decent luck on the maps, so I can't, you know. It could have been, oh, and like, yeah, we're just choop, 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 done. Like, how long has this even been? We're already on the River of Flame. Yeah, 40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes is about on time for a decent run through Act 5, but it's also just like, how quickly can you do it with a fire damage character? Like, you know, this is supposed to be like pain and suffering for me here. Well, I mean, the time to kill isn't exactly giving me like big dopamine, like the way it does with the non-fire moons, but it's not making me like sob either. And I'm like, yeah, there is like a little voice in my head that says, yeah, it's because you're a little bitch, you're playing on Players 1. And it's like, I'll put it back up for Act 5, man, come on. But like, you know, we can do this on Players 3, it's just slow, that's all. And then it's just going to be less fun, because we're not going to be killing much stuff. We're certainly not going to be like taking down lots of like elites and super uniques and stuff. We don't have a lot of MF. I can't really like hope for good drops or anything, so we're really just trying to like get this fat boy through, get the wide boy through the game. There's so much undead in here that like using leech is like really difficult. Ooh, spooky. Oh, and an ant damage curse. We're spoiled. That's what we are. I love how like the first thing my mercenary does when he isn't just like scratching his ass 10 feet behind me doing nothing is like instantly like just a massively like overextend to the point where like, you know, I can't even reach him with my CC because for some reason there's like 15 enemies between him and me. Like, how does he even get into that position? But this is like fanaticism. Like this is where you're just like, as a dog, you're just like, oh, okay, yep. Okay, the fuck do I do now? Whereas the bear, this is where the bear just says like, you know, he says, you know what my name is? He introduces himself, he tells you that his name is Clawbius, and that it is clawbing time. And then he just clawbs all over everything. And there's nothing they can do, they're just being clawbed on. The dog, like, the dog just, like, has no buttons, basically. But, like, he's really strong. you know, on the numbers. So it's not like, you know, it's not like he just stinks for no reason. Oh, fucking Decrepify. But yeah, like, at least when it's players one, I can, like, get some shit done even in those really bad situations, just because, like, if you can, like, just deal with the problem quickly, you can sometimes, like, take a risk to, you know, to go sort the problem out. Like, yeah, there's a unique Oblivion Knight behind this pack, and you want to get rid of him because you don't want to be getting, like, decrepified and just shot non-stop. But, you know, if it's a higher players count and you just, like, or if you just don't have much damage, like, you just kind of have to let him have his way with you, because you can't, like, run behind the mob and just take him out quickly. Like, you're going to be chopping him down for a long time. But it's like here, we should be able to just, like, quickly dive these two. Yeah, we just kind of get rid of them. And now it's like, it's just, like, not a problem. It's like, and we just kind of clean up here. And the fact that you can, like, just lock them down with stun. Admittedly, like, this kind of strategy is not always tenable. It very much depends on the spawns, because if you have, like, if you're trying to, like, run around to, like, you know, the range characters behind the enemy, and then that, like, aggroes another pack. Oh, okay, might end fanaticism. Let the good times roll. But, you know, Professor Clawvius just says, no, it's clawing time. Sorry. And you can just see him. He's just clawing all over everything. And they can't do anything about it. Look at them. They're just being clawed on. And now, the might and the fanaticism is gone. And, like, we can just get in there and do a little bit of damage too. You know, we just... Like, if you can't tell, I really enjoy builds like this. Like, even if it's slow, it's just like, you know, you have some buttons to push, you have some, like, tricks up your sleeve. Like, I play, you know, I play Warframe, so I'm not used to having, like, effective CC, like CC that's worth anything. Because that's just a game where, like, you know, like, CC just has no value. Like, basically everything that you actually want to CC is just flat leaving into it. And, like, you know, it's like, sure, champions and elites in this game are immune to CC. Sorry, champions and uniques are immune to CC. But minions aren't. And minions in this game are often, like, you know, often it's the minions that make the elite packs the thing that's, like, super dangerous, right? Because they get a little portion of the boss's affixes, whatever that is. So, like, if he's extra strong, you know, they hit extra hard too. You know, if he's got an aura, they're in the aura. Like, they're tankier, they're, you know, they hit more. They're, like, just really freaking dangerous, basically. I didn't actually want to hit that. But yeah, like, you gotta chunk a little bit when they're immune to fire. They take a bit of chunking. I don't know why I came for the Infector first. especially when I don't have like space to get out. But yeah, come on, like against stuff like that, like what's wrong with the bear? The bear just gets the job done. There's some weird ass affixes on staffs here. I'd probably sell that. I'm so lazy when it comes to like actually like picking things up to sell them. But I do feel like having gold is like it's one of the big benefits of like shared stash is like never having to like stop to farm for gold, because like as long as you like, I don't know, maybe doing a little bit of lower Karust once every couple of weeks, like you just have all the freaking gold. But like here, see, like I can't dive all the way down there. Like that's too risky. The odds of like not aggroing something else just kind of suck. So we just sort of have to like suck it up and just kind of chew our way through here, which isn't too bad to be honest, because you know we kind of just shut down their ability to like do much damage, do much melee damage, and even with the curse, we kind of just shove our way through with just like a fat bit of like a bully, you know, just kind of like
Not in town.
chonking through.
Hail to you, champion.
Like I swear I'm having more fun with this than I did with the Berserker. And don't get me wrong, there were definitely areas where the Berserker felt more fun. Like in the Chaos Sanctuary, I pretty much didn't fight anything aside from the, you know, the specific individual super unique Seal Guardians. Like I didn't even kill their minion packs and just immediately like ran to the next seal and did that, and you know, just had Diablo out in like 40 seconds or something. It was crazy. But that's also kind of like a stressful way to play. And yeah, if you're ever having trouble with Decease, like, so Decease, like when you're a newer player and you just kind of like run it, especially if you play melee characters, if you're just kind of running into everything, then this guy's probably going to feel like he's the strongest Seal Guardian, even though, you know, people say that he's, you know, behind the Infector of Souls. That's a really annoying place for a fanaticism. I don't even know where the boss is. Okay, auras are so small in this area for some reason. But yeah, it's like Deceased can easily feel like he's like the most dangerous of the Seal Guardians because he's the most dangerous to run into, you know? And that's kind of like... But if you even just like take a minute, you can very, very easily peel his buddies like away from him and just kill them like you know, you'll even if you like really kite them back, you'll even pull them apart a bit of it. So you just kill like 2 and 3 and you know 1, like after pulling them outside of the aura range, and they're just free. And then you just kind of like walk up, and it's like your mercenary, just go fully decease himself. Like he's not that dangerous on his own. Whereas like Ventar is not Ventar, freaking the Infector is really dangerous because he's fast. And it's really, really tricky to pull a super fast like minion pack apart, you know, and kind of like
Greetings.
isolate some fights with just like a few of them. They tend to like swarm you as a group. And you need a lot of space to like really kite them and deal with them. Safely. You know, obviously, if your build is strong enough, if your setup is strong enough, you just walk in and kill them, right? But alright, hold on. Let me see if I can at least get the player count up to like 3. Get a drop from Big Red.
Not even death can save you from me.
You are hell Diablo, I'm not afraid of you that much. Like, I say I'm not afraid of him, he immediately does like, okay, he didn't actually do that much damage, I just couldn't see that I wasn't in freaking bear mode. And so something you want to be really careful with is like when you're fighting Diablo, you want to be right on top of him. So if you have a weapon that has range, like a polearm or something, and oh my god, look at him getting absolutely chunked. Like he does have Decrepify on him, I do have a lot of Crushing Blow, but like, come on, this is good, this is nice damage. This is, yeah, Ondos. Actually like a pretty good, pretty decent drop. And this proc level 3 weaken on striking is like a super underrated affix. It's kind of a shame the rest of it is just like bunk. Just a bunch of like crappy stats, some hit recovery, and then, you know, the minus requirements, and the requirements are kind of still too high, but the chance to hit weaken is a nice affix. Like if you're playing with like a Zeal Paladin or something, even basically weaken is really good. It really reduces enemy damage. And if you start coupling things like weaken and
Hail to you,
slow,
champion.
like you really just start turning the enemy into like a bunch of like, you know, kittens. They just can't really do anything. And yeah, that's that done. Like I'm super impressed by how quickly he just chunked Diablo and just kind of walked through Act 4 Fat Bear, you know. Like that should be the hardest spot for him. And like, yeah, I had to put it down to players 1, but I don't care about that. Like I've been playing the whole of hell on like players 5 and players 3, so I'm so over leveled anyway. Just because I like take my time and go through and clear areas with like, you know, a high players count. So like we're already just like being chilling on like level 82.
At
I
your
don't need any
service.
more levels. So if I want to literally just run through Act 5, I can. Also, last night, freaking Mala, like, just creepy, like, zombie hobble, like, all the way out to here. I've never seen that before, and it was some creepy ass
Good
shit.
afternoon.
Like, she freaking follows you now? Like, look at this! She's stalking us. Hobbling like a freaking zombie. It's terrifying. I've never seen this happen before. Oh my gosh. Like, how far can we get her to follow us? This is like actually alarming.
I, Mala, welcome.
I'm Mala. Welcome to my shop. Hello.
Afternoon. If you
Alright, let's see what misery awaits us out here. Can't be that bad.
there,
It's that bad.
nothing will stand in my way.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe just re-roll that. Like, archers are kind of bad enough, but then, like, immune to fire archers that are also skeletons that I can't leech off. Like, eh. Because, like, I kind of just want to run through the foothills.
Bale, nothing
Oh, okay, we
will
literally
stand
just
in
get
my way.
fire archers instantly again. I feel like trying to, like, force run through like this is maybe a bit silly, but eh. Oh, okay, I think I know why we didn't get, yeah, I have to go back to Nightmare to actually re-roll the enemies, but at the same time, like, maybe. Like, I've got my hustle, I should be able to just run through. This isn't that cramped, location. And I am at that point now where it's just like, come on, I'm like level 80, I can run through this if I want. Like, there's no reason for me to play through an area that, you know, if there's nothing for me here, and there isn't, like, the drops aren't going to be good, the fighting is going to be, like, painful, like, the map itself is, like, too open, so I can't bottleneck stuff and shockwave it all up, you know? So I am pretty happy to just kind of give this whole section, in fact, the entire outdoor section of this act can kind of just get the finger. Which is kind of like the meta for Act 5, like, you fight, like, where you have to in, like, the cramped tunnels and stuff. Because, like, there are places where you just have to go there to make space.
The catapults have been silenced.
Like, when you have to kill them, it's not even that bad. I don't know if did I actually yeah, this is plays 3. Ah, what a shame. Alright, let's get that stinking curse off.
Salutations.
How you take it?
Not here.
Oh yeah.
You're an even.
Yeah, I'm pretty amazing. I know. So, like, I could get this socketed with an Alt rune or something. Like, I kind of would prefer to wear this, but it's just like, I need the fucking resistances. It's so bad. Like, trying to get resistances without a shield is just suffering. Like, I can't slot anything in this. I can't slot anything in this. This is literally my only thing that I can put a socket into. And, you know, I could only get like another 30 resistance anyway, which, I mean, admittedly, another 30 lightning resistance, and I'd feel pretty comfy. Like 60 lightning, 67 fire, like that, yeah, that's pretty comfy. That's like, it's not bad at all. But I don't know that I want to use a socket quest for that because it's just like, you know, eventually it's like I probably will. Ah, fuck it, it's a socket. You
Can I
get
help
3
you?
of them. Let's just make this comfy. You know, just chuck the Alt Rune in and just like have that for free. And now it's just like, all right, now I'm like, I don't even feel that kind of like defensively anemic now. Like obviously, yeah, I still don't have a shield and that's not so good, but like, you know, I definitely feel a bit scrappier. Just that 30%, like you're gonna see it. It's a huge, because we've got a lot of stuff that's just like helping to kind of, you know, round out the fights and just like make everything more survivable. You know, that's kind of the name of the game for me. It's just like, yeah, we get the Holy Freeze, we get the Decrepify, you know. Like these guys immune to fire and they just get two-shotted. And this is players 3, remember? They're just annoying because you have to kind of like chase them around a lot. But look at that, like you just like whoop whoop leech. Nice. Of course we have like the rarest freaking Act 1 archers, the fire ones. The like the last ones I actually don't have to deal with. Yeah, like these boys are immune to fire and like just, it's not doing them any favors. But like, I don't know. I feel like just play Fire Claws. Like don't play Maul. Maul sucks. Maul, like I'm 100% convinced that Maul is broken. Like Maul is broken in the same way that like Bash is broken. So like what I think Maul doesn't do is like, you know, the damage on Maul is supposed to like ramp up and ramp up and ramp up, and I just don't actually feel like it does. Okay, this is stupidly dangerous. Like in that choke point, they just deleted my mercenary.
Good afternoon.
I am
Oh, they have a Blessed Amor too. Good times. There's just flatly no going through that door. Like we have to come at it from another angle. And of course, this curse, this angle. This is what I mean though when I say like it can just really feel like the game is just like taking shit on your head when you play a melee character, and just like slowly taking away more and more of like your options and possible. Like why? Why does this tower just not take damage? Like I have like 3k physical damage. I have crushing blow. This thing just gets to exist for like 20 minutes fucking with me. And it's like, because I am a melee character, I have to fucking kill that thing. Like, if I'm an Amazon, I just stand here and shoot them, right? If I'm a sorceress, I just stand here and shoot. Like, I just physically walk away from the thing that's hurting them, and just don't let it hurt me, right? Because I have that option, because I'm a range character. Because I have the fucking range advantage, which apparently is like, you know, no one thought to like balance for that in this game, which like genuinely does my fucking head in.
Salutations.
But, like, this is not the bear's fault, right? Like, this is not the fault of, like, Fireclaw Druid. This is just... These are things that, like, no matter what melee character you play in this game, you are going to suffer like this. like, that's not even the cursed unique. There's another unique around here somewhere. And, like, I mean, come on. Like, is this supposed to be, like, comedy or something? Like, who playtested this and thought this was okay? I will stand by this 100%. This game was not playtested on hell difficulty, or if it was playtested by, like, retards who were, like, had no fucking idea how to play the game and were probably just, like,
Good afternoon.
cheating in the best items they could and just genuinely, like, fucking around and, like, you know. Because it's just like so often the game is like, it gets dangerously close to like actually being fun, and then it has to like pull the rug out from under you and just say like, no, sorry, spend the next like 48 seconds just hacking at a piece of terrain that for some reason has 80 billion health and is immune to crushing blow. Like, can you see this? Like, I understand that I am using Fire Claws, okay? But look, this is my base physical damage. 1,300 to fucking 5,000. With like 40% crushing blow. With my mercenary, right? My mercenary, who is also doing like 500 to 2,000 damage. And look how long it takes us to just hack this fucking tower down. And I know someone else is going, it's a tower, it's supposed to be fucking difficult. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, if I want to play some, like, Dwarf Fortress game, where I'm, like, smashing up fucking fortifications, then I'll go play that. Like, this is not supposed, like, this is an action RPG. Supposedly. But we just have all these, like, fucking fun taxes that just literally are a dead stop to the action, the very reason to play the game, where it's just like, no, go back to town. No, spend 40 seconds doing this. No, spend 20 minutes in this doorway killing respawning enemies. Like, you know, what you want is like, you know, like, it genuinely almost gave me what I want. Whereas, like, here's a puzzle to deal with. Here's this thing that's, like, that's fun, right? Where it's like, you can't go through that positioning, so you're going to have to come around this corner and, like, make space to come at it from another angle. But it's like, we have to just find ways to make that not be fun. Like, we force you to have to kill this tower, because you don't have the range advantage on the ranged enemies who are standing underneath the tower, and now the tower's literally just going to spray you with fire for free for the 5 minutes in which you're killing them, with a curse on your head, because every second fucking unique in this game has a curse, which makes the game literally fucking unplayable for you as a melee character. And the only way to deal with it, because it's completely uninteractable, is to just go back to town, and then come back and have the curse put back on you again. Like, it's literally just like, so I'm cursed, I'm trying to kill a tower, I have a lot of physical damage, but I can't kill the fucking tower. It takes me like a minute to kill the tower, and now I have to come back, and now it's like, actually killing the enemies, the super uniques, the things like that, like, not a problem. Like, for some reason, I can kill all basic enemies in like 2-3 shots, but it takes, like, are you looking at this? Like, who thought this was okay? Like, I want to remind you that, like, when the game came out, like, shit like this did not exist. Like, you would be finishing this game with an honor if you were, you know, not, like, shared stash, if you didn't have, like, you know, the best, realistically, like, the best weapon that the average Druid player would have to finish this game with would be, like, an IK ball. Like, it would just genuinely be unplayable. Like, this Poleaxe does almost twice as much damage as an IK Maul. And, like, that's how much power creep there has been, and yet there's still shit like that, where it's just like, it literally takes so fucking long. Oh, that's a cool freaking drop. Ah, 4 sockets too. Crap ED roll. And, you know, I kind of hate that weapon. It's just like, I don't know. The dev team just clearly did not give a fuck about like item design or anything like in the later stages of this game's development. Because the number of just like stuff where it's just like, look, I can't, like, it's so clearly the thought process is just like, look, I don't know what the players want, I don't know how they play this game, I don't know what they need, and I don't care. Just put sockets in it. Just put sockets in it, they can make something out of them themselves. And so the reason why I don't like this item, fundamentally, why I think this item is like anti-player, unfun, really badly designed, even though I should like it because it's like, hey, it's an axe, it has cannot be frozen, it has a good ED roll, but it's just like, you are going to find like 7 of these before you actually find one that you will put anything in the sockets of, because the variable roll on the fact that it can have like 5 sockets or 3 sockets just immediately makes any one of them that rolls with 3 sockets like just trash. Like, it's just absolute garbage. Throw it in the bin. You're not going to enjoy finding it. You're not going to enjoy using it. You're going to feel like you're just using like some absolute piece of shit because you know how much better it can be. You wouldn't dare slot anything good in it to make it good unless it was a max roll, because like, to really make this like a top tier weapon, right? Like, let's say you get a 5 socket one and you say, hey, Fireclaw Druid, all right, I'm gonna put 5 fire facets in it, right? Or, you know, melee druid, I'm gonna put like a rune for like crushing blow. I'm gonna put a rune for like reduce enemies defense. I'm gonna put like 2 ruby jewels of fervor, like really top tier shit, right? And potentially make this an amazing weapon. But A, it's just like, by the time you put that much shit in it, you could have just made a rune word that's better. You know, like you're overspending to make it good. About the only thing I can imagine like that's, you know, that would be a really good use for this weapon would be like, you know, maybe like a bunch of like fire facets for specifically for a Fireclaw Druid. And that is really good. But then it's like, well, it still has this hugely variable ED roll. It can go up to like 300 ED, and it has this hugely variable roll on the number of sockets it can get. And it's just like, items like that just don't feel good to find. Whereas this is like, lower the drop rate and take that shit away from it. And it's fine for weapons to have like variable ED roll, even though it can like feel like, it's like, it has to be within reason, right? It can't be like, well, if you get unlucky, this is just piece of shit. But if you get lucky, it's a, you know, it's a good usable weapon. Like, to me, that's just like, that's just bad. Like, just don't, like, you should, like, shit like that just shouldn't be in the game. And I don't even mean that in the sense of like, look, there's a variable rolls are in some ways part of the fun of items, but there are variable rolls that are fun and there are variable rolls that aren't fun. So an example of like a really unfun variable roll would be something like Eshuda's Temper, right? Or even Ormus Robes. Like, in theory, Ormus Robes come so close to being an example of something that has like what I would call like a healthy variable roll, right? Where like, even if it's not the meta, even if it's not the perfect thing, the player can still be like, oh, but hold on a minute. Like, you could do a little bit of like theory crafting and have a little fun with it, right? Because it's RNG as to what skill it buffs. So you could be like, hey, you know what? Like, all right, yeah, it's buffing some skill I would never use, right? It's buffing like, I don't know, Nova or something, and I don't really like the idea of playing Nova Sork. And it's just like, but you know, hey, maybe now I'll try playing a Nova Sork. The problem is like, then it also has a variable roll on the addition to your cold damage. So it's like, you could get a skill that's like really fun and be like, oh yeah, hell yeah, you know, whatever, like +3 to fucking, you know, some skill that I'm never going to use, but, you know, maybe I'll make a build around it. Oh, nope, it's only like a, you know, 10% damage to that damage type. So it's just like, you need like 2 layers of good luck. Where it's like, not only do you need to like roll a proverbial 6 on which skill it buffs for it to be useful, you also need to roll the proverbial 6 on which element it buffs. Yeah, Hustle is so good. Like one of the things that like genuinely makes me cry in this game is like, oh, we're gonna do this again. This is what I mean when I talk about like the depression of playing a melee character, where it's just like, oh, okay, I cannot beat this guy in a 1v1
Good evening.
unless I'm willing to like use all of these. You know, because he has this completely uninterruptible garbage mechanic. It's like, you know, these are lessons that like more like contemporary game devs for the most part do seem to have like learned, and it has like really helped with like game design, where it's just like, bro, just make challenge fucking interactable. Like, you know, how about this, right? How about they have a like, and this is never gonna happen back in the Diablo days because like, you know, it involves doing extra work, right? Where it's like they have a unique like curse attack animation, right? Which could literally just be like a little like aura comes around them or something, whatever, when they're about to do their curse attack. The attack that will apply the curse to you. And so now you just know that, like, you know, every third or fourth attack, you're going to see this, like, you know, little, like, visual prompt. And, like, you can potentially just quickly duck out of combat and avoid it, right? So it's giving you something that you can actually interact with. Rather than just, like, no, if this enemy touches you, you have this curse on you. It is so devastating that if you're a melee character, you basically just immediately shat on now. Like, it fucking takes away any physical damage resistance you have, so, like, it literally, like, you can't even, like, gear against it. And then you start getting into, like, shit where it's just, like, once the curse is part of the equation, you start getting into situations where, like, you can have characters with, like, literally 2,000, 3,000 life that just pretty much instantly disappears. Because it's like, hey, here's an extra strong, right? Who is pretty much already doubling his damage. Well, now he's cursed you. Well, now his damage is 4 times. Now he lands a crit, so the damage is actually 8 times what it would normally be. And now he hits a crushing blow with the crit. Like, you know, like, these are things that enemies can do. Or, you know, maybe he just hits a spectral hit on something that you don't have good resistance to. Or maybe, God forbid, you even have negative resistance to. And now you're actually getting into the situation where it's like, yep, your barbarian with like 4,000 health can just straight up be one-shot by stuff. Like, and here's the really depressing thing. It's like, yep, your barbarian with 4,000 health and a storm shield and a vamp gaze, or you know, and a sharp stop, who's literally at the physical damage reduction cap, can still just be one shot by stuff, because Curse does not respect that at all. But this is also like... How to put it? This is like just a lesson in kind of like picking your battles as well. Yeah, we don't need that. Don't care about that.
I am overburdened.
Don't care about that. Certainly don't care about that. I'll sell that. But yeah, it's just like... Not even so much pick your battles as it is just like pick your ground. Like, there were so many uniques in that just little sequence after getting in the frozen place, and we just kind of had the curse on us for like so long, and it was like not a good place to be. But in those like really close maps where like you can kind of
I am overburdened.
lock everything down neatly, then you can deal with shit like that. It's not fun. But there's satisfaction to be had playing it. Seeing some cool drops. Not really cool drops, but like, you know, nice to see gold, basically. Always nice to see a little bit of gold. This is the clap, which is like, hey, it's +1 to fire skills. It's like, sorcerers could use this, but like, nah. A sorceress is gonna have way better time just with any bow that has exploding arrows. And that's gonna be like way more valuable to a sorceress than, you know, +1 to fire skills, which is gonna be like a really trivial amount of extra fire damage on enchant. But that guy just literally bombed like 900 fucking health away in one shot. But it's fine. But, like, look at the chunks that are being taken out of my health. Like, playing melee without a shield in this game is just like... You know, I've said it, but like, legitimately, the only reason this is like tenable is how fucking busted obedience is. Like, if it did not have both, like all of these affixes that it actually has. So, the chance to cast enchant, which is one of the strongest affixes it has, because it's just like free enormous multiplier to your attack rating. The massive ED, which is fixed, you know, there's no bullshit RNG on it. The minus 25% target defense, because again, we need the attack rating. The minus 25 to enemy fire resistance, you know, when our primary damage type is fire. The 40% crushing blow, like, and the all requirements 25 and the reduced requirements. Like, if it did not have like all of those affixes, or like, you know, maybe close to, I just not even think about using it, just switch to something like this. Because even without speccing into Dex, like just equipping this shield, which like I'm using the shield now, and is the damage like somehow like comically low or something? Doesn't seem like it. Yeah, I don't have Crushing Blow, which like not so good against uniques and stuff. But like this is also like not a good shield either. Like I could be you know, I could be running around with like a Moses Blessed Circle with like 2 perfect diamonds in it. And then, you know, then we're kind of like, then we're looking at like a situation where it's like, well, now I can put that Druid hat back on, right? Because my resistances are going to be so good. Now I can put that hat back on where I get more fire damage. And I can just start looking for like a one-handed weapon that's like fast attacking and maybe has some like crushing blow or something. But like, hey, this little axe gets the job done. Like, and you could do this with a hustle or something. It's not going to be as fast. Oh, that's right. I just kind of completely ignored Anya's existence, didn't I? Freaking Anya. Ah, you know what? It cleans up my lightning resistance and it gets my cold resistance like into like a happier spot. But yeah, so one of the reasons why this shield is not particularly good is just because its block stats kind of stink. But even then, it's like, you think, look at that, you 24% chance to block, and you judge it against the maximum and think, you know, oh, well, that's really bad. But it's like, well, hold on a minute. 24%. We're just mitigating 24% of physical damage? That's almost as good as wearing a sharp slot? And that's with, like, no dex investment, and, you know, a shield that just kind of has bad block stats. Like, suddenly now it's like, alright, we'll chuck on a Rhyme and see how you go. Like, you know, chuck on something that actually has, like, a good base block chance and plus block, and... you know, if you really want to be like a wall, get yourself a Spirit Ward or something. Like, there's going to be a big strength requirement to actually put it on. But now it's like, whew, now you got like big resistances. You got a chance to like cast Fade. Wait, where did the Hydra come from? I'm just gonna go back, get more health pots, because I don't want to... like, I'm trying to, like, farm up some, like, juvies, because, like, I had literally none in the stash, and that's not the best feeling, so... we want to, like, farm up at least a row or two for the Ancients and stuff. So, when my life gets low... I want to make sure I've got a bunch of like normal potions so that I can just kind of quaff. Rather than just kind of sucking down the juvies. But yeah, when I played my Berserker, like I just wanted out of here. Like I was really just running through. And yeah, like seeing this going, like totally reasonable. And the only reason I don't do it is because like the quality of life stinks. Of like not being able to see which weapon you have equipped. But totally reasonable if you're playing the bear to just have obedience on swap. For chunky stuff when you need crushing blow. But otherwise, just have like a way safer setup, like a fast one-handed weapon that has a little bit of base damage, and like a nice, safe shield. Like, I'm kind of tempted to just go grab a
am
Moses Blessed
overburdened.
Circle now. Because I've, like, got one sitting in the stash with a couple of diamonds in it. You know, just chuck a couple of diamonds in it and just go to town. Like, just have all my resistances sorted. You know, wear the Sky Spirit rather than Jalal's. But then I did just socket Jalal's. Whatever. You know, I could go grab a ward. I don't think I have the strength for it, but I could chuck a Hellbound in it. It's probably one of the few shields that you kind of need to put a Hell Rune in rather than a diamond because the strength requirement on it is so bonkers. But like, you know, these are not easy areas, right? Like, these are really like nasty enemies. Claw Vipers, Succubus, and freaking Amp Damage. They're immune to fire. I'm a Fire Claw Druid. And yeah, this is players 3, and we're just kind of like going through and doing the job. So like, this is where you might want to like just switch to your, yeah, just give them the big chunk, the bitch slaps, like obedience. Bonk, 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 get out of here on your bike. No way. They're dropping me another unique, just like, yeah, have this for free. This thing does not drop like for free either. You don't see many of these. Shame. It's not a good weapon. Like, I mean, the ED is good, the IAS is good. I like hit blind's target. I don't consider knockback to be like weapon breaking or anything. In fact, I've discussed it at length. Like, it doesn't trigger 100% of the time. You know, the idea that you're constantly going to be like chasing enemies that you're knocking back is just like, that's not going to happen. Don't even worry about it. Half the time you won't even notice that the weapon has knockback. The only thing is like, what, +3 to elemental skills? I mean, I suppose that, hold on, does that include, like, does that, no, it's not plus to fire claws, so like, I don't know, it's a weird weapon. Like, I feel like the devs have this idea that like druids were gonna like cast fissure and then like, you know, turn into a bear and start like chucking away, you know, chunking
At
away
your
at stuff in
service.
combat, or maybe just kind of like run around with like a big maul or something on the normal druid, but have like Heart of the Wolverine so they can like, you know, swing away at stuff while their spells are like, you know, chipping them down or something. Why did I just run into them without even changing? Anyway. But yeah, I have a feeling that that's kind of what the devs envisioned, and that like, you know, they ended up making a lot of equipment that, you know, was designed to kind of support that like dual role playstyle, and that playstyle kind of just doesn't exist. So those weapons just kind of like, you know, they just toys no one wants to play with, sadly, which is a shame, especially when they're like super rare like that one, the battle hammer. Anyway, I'm just gonna quickly go to the bathroom. Game is like actively trolling me. I go to the bathroom, I come back, and my bear is still a fucking bear. But I go into a dungeon, I go to kill some enemies, and you know, it's like, nah, you're not a bear anymore. Get out of here. But yeah, that Etnax, maybe that would be kind of like my... Oh my lord, did you see that? That's what I'm talking about when I talk about the stupidity of Curse. Like, I'm just like, I'm sorry, man, it's just too much damage. Like, it's not, like, when you have, like, you know, you can't expect players to just face tank when stuff is doing that much damage, right? Because it's like, what's to face tank? It's literally like you have thousands of hit points and then you just have like nothing. So there is no face tanking the damage, but like in order to just like exist and do what you need to do as a melee character, you're forced to face tank. Like, you're forced to run into all your problems. And it's so rare that games actually get the balancing on that right. And I'll give you like a really good example. Like, one of the... Oh, that's cool. Alright, let's just... Yeah. It's like, I have no problem playing through the game like this, right? Like, this is when the game is actually fun, right? But it's just like...
Thanks.
You know, it has to be a challenge, not a brick wall.
Thanks.
And it's such a, like, razor's edge.
Thanks.
But, like, when it's good, it's so good. And it's like, this is 100% why you will play a melee character, is to get into these, like, little situations where it's like, you know, how do I get up here? Like, how do I deal with this? Do I just kind of, like, keep, like, poking and probing? Or maybe I come around here, I try to make some space around this area, like, you know, see what's here. Like, there's only a few souls here, right? So we can kind of bring them in. We gotta play a little bit of bullet hell here, but we can keep, like, just slowly. The main thing is just, like, these souls are, like, their artillery, right? But they're, like, they're not just going to, like, hold a position in the back line. You know, they will, after they've, like, fired a shot or two, they will kind of rush forward, and then we can kill them. And, like, these ladies we can kind of deal with a little bit. You know, a little bit more freely. And it's just a matter of, like, patience. And, you know, good thing we sorted out our lightning resistance as well. But these are the gameplay loops that, like, I want to play with. And I understand that, like, I only have to play these loops because, like, the type of character I'm playing is weak. Right? Like, a sorceress just, like, peeks that corner for, like, a second, throws a blizzard out, comes back here, and then just chilling, right? Or, like, throws a bunch of hydras around the corner, and, you know, that just kind of kites everything back. And, like, when you have ranged on your side, you have a tool that gives you so many more options.
Thanks.
Jesus, it took so long to get my mercenaries health to go back up. But see, like, even this, it's just, like, a little bit of patience, and, like, even these succubi who really hate, like, they love to just, like, sit back and you know, plink at you, right? But, like, if you're just patient, like, one or two of them can, like, come out of that group, right? And suddenly, it's like, well, now there's 4 of them shooting you instead of 5. And, you know, like, that's a 20% reduction of their damage, and that might just literally make the difference, where you can, like, push up there without having to, like, eat 2 or 3 full jubies to, like, get the job done. Ooh. Cursed Souls boss pack, but you know, the trick with Souls is always just, like, being able to weather that initial thing, and then just, like, patience, patience, patience. Just let them come to you, and then just murder them, right? It's not that bad. Like, it is very much a build check, though. Because it's just like, if you don't have a lot of life, and you have low lightning resistance, there are other ways to deal with them, like multi-shot slow, for example, is, like, reasonably effective, but oh god, you have to play so carefully, you have to play so cautiously, it's really stressful, but it's doable. But, you know, if you're playing a barbarian, you're playing a druid, like, even a paladin should have over 1,000 health at this point. Like, I don't have anywhere near as much health as I could have, because I've had to stat so crazily just to put this, the Cryptic Axe on. But again, it's just like, the name of the game with Souls is just patience. And don't, like, just don't try to force it. See, look at this. They just come. Like, it's like they're freaking curious or something, and they just can't, like... And see, like, that's when you can get into trouble. Like, as soon as I saw all that stuff coming at me, I should have just, like, immediately backed off. But, you know, sometimes there's value in just, like, poking some things, aggroing them, and then just, like, look, just pulling them back, pulling them apart. A little bit at a time. And you just chip away. And now it's like, no, I was going to say now it's manageable, but, like, it's still not manageable. There's still a lot of souls there. And we need to, like, pull them out of position. In fact, I feel like I don't even need to be fighting this, because I'm just clearing the entire map for some reason, rather than, like, pushing directly on Anya. But, like, it's actually fun engaging with those kinds of situations, so I'm like, you know, sometimes I find myself just, like, clearing chunks of the map just for the fun of it, rather than constantly trying to, like, force your way through and run your way through. And, like, these Dark Spear women, like, you just... they're so, like, brain dead in their aggressiveness, which can be really dangerous when you're already dealing with other things. They can kind of, like, just sweep in and, like, body block you, but most of the time, it makes them kind of free, as long as you're just willing to, like, take a few steps backward and just kite them away from everything else. It's really easy to isolate fights with them. Oh, nice. Damn, I don't have any TP. I'm so freaking bad at that. At, like... Maybe a hustle for, like, a whirlwind barbarian or something, but I'm not gonna cry if I end up throwing it away. And yeah, I need to remember to, like, farm a portal. Farm a freaking town portal scroll. Like, look for one, and then go back to town, and... there's probably, honestly, there'll probably be one just, like, lying on the floor somewhere. I have killed a good amount of stuff in this dungeon. Ah, there we go. Alright. So before I forget, because I am terrible at this sort of stuff. Okay, game. I'm just gonna pretend I don't have this on a keybind. Apparently, yes. Apparently I don't have it on a keybind. It's funny because I seem to remember putting it on a keybind. It's usually the first thing I put on a keybind. But apparently I don't.
Morning.
Maybe the keybind just like disappears if you run out of portals? I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Bit of a faff.
The morning comes.
Welcome to my shop. Man, I always miss that Gronk when he isn't around. But yeah, Souls, like when you have a good health pool and a good amount of lightning resistance, Souls are literally just a patience check. Like they will, like if you try to run through a map, even with 75 lightning resistance, even with this much health, like if it has Souls spawned on it, just don't. Like if you want to run through it, re-roll it.
Thanks.
Things can get a little bit dicey because you end up with situations like this where it's like you kind of sometimes to make okay that fucking gets on my tits. Like what am I supposed to do? Hello game? Can the enemies, like the ranged enemies, not sit on like fucking unpathable terrain and just shoot me for free forever? Like, I understand I'm playing a melee character and I'm supposed to suffer, and that's fine. Lots of things in the game are completely unfair to me, but like, that just feels like this. This just feels like you know, it's not even like that dangerous because it's just like one enemy, but it just makes me angry that it can even happen. That like nobody ever thought like, wait, hold on a minute. You know what I mean? Like, isn't this just going to feel like completely miserable and unfair to anyone who doesn't have a ranged attack? That like monsters can just sit on unpathable terrain, completely fucking untouchable, and just damage you for free. And there's nothing you can do but literally just like smile and fucking take it like a little bitch.
What do you need?
Like shit like that will never fucking fail to put me in a bad mood. Because there's stuff that's like unfair because, you know, because the devs were lazy or because the devs didn't really understand the game that they were making, if that makes sense. And a lot of that is because this game has like slopjank mechanics that it inherited from Diablo 1, which is a really slopjank game and it's a bad game. It's a game that has really good writing, and that's literally it. That's all it has. It has good writing, it has some passable voice acting. And at the time, that was enough to like make everyone just like soil their pants with excitement. Because, you know, it was like, it hit a vibe that like games before then hadn't. Like, it was genuinely dark. It was genuinely kind of like, you know, gothic, horror, oppressive. It didn't pull punches. You know, the NPCs were like traumatized. Like, they talked about shit that was like genuinely like upsetting and kind of scary. And it was just like that kind of like, that vibe plus the aesthetic and some like, as I say, some like passable voice acting. And then suddenly they just had this thing that like just hit these like perfect tonal notes that like the gameplay being like literal garbage, and that, I'm sorry, like please don't like I understand it, like this is a game that like has a lot of nostalgia of people and a lot of affection and blah 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 blah, but I'm sorry, the gameplay's shit. Like, it's terrible shit. Like, don't like go play it. Go try playing it for fun. Better yet, look how many people are streaming it right now. And how many people are watching. Because because the gameplay stinks. It just stinks. It's literally just like point-click grind. The game balance and difficulty and everything else is just like absolutely like comically balked. Like some of the things in the game where it's just like if you play caster, for example, just you're if you genuinely want to like optimally play a caster, like it's literally just RNG, like whether or not you get books, and you like your whole gameplay loop for like the first 5 hours that you play is literally just like RNG tiles and like praying for the right shrines and books, because like if you like roll the butcher, for example, like you just cannot kill the butcher as like a spellcaster, and unless you get him stuck or cheese it somehow. Like you basically, to actually like win a 1v1 against the butcher, like you need to have like stone curse or something like that, and it's just like you're not getting that. Like you can get it eventually, and you can kind of like cheese your way to it, if that makes sense. Hold on, I want that room back. But yeah, it's a terrible game. It has completely balked progression. Like there's no sense of like smooth progression in terms of like how your power scales. And having things like magic come from like books like that like may drop, may never drop. You may be able to buy it if you spend like hours shopping for it, you may not. It's just like, oh, okay, so basically Diablo 1 just fun taxes everything that isn't the warrior. Like, basically, if you want to use magic, if you want to actually have, like, mechanics that you can interact with and have fun with beyond just pointing and clicking on monsters, just prepare to be fun taxed. Like, the game is not going to have any mercy on you. You're going to spend hours and hours and hours just, like, shopping and just sort of, like, wandering around dungeons looking for things, or, like, hoping certain things spawn or drop. But, like, if you actually do get a caster, like, fully geared up and fully, like, like, you genuinely get, like, this, like, the good spells, you have, like, the spells that you actually, like, need to kind of win the game, like, you're so strong, it's, like, gag reel silliness. Particularly compared to something like a warrior. It's, like, old school D&D balancing, where it's just, like, warriors literally exist to, like, be bodyguards for spellcasters until the spellcasters level up enough to the point where they are literal demigods. Like, that's the, like, old school kind of fantasy RPG balancing of, like, magic and melee. I'm genuinely, like, once I'm done with this bear, I'm really thinking of doing, like, a solo playthrough of, like, X-Men Legends with one of the melee, like, specifically one of the melee characters, just to kind of, like, bathe in the difference, if that makes sense. Honestly, like, not the worst Rosenstein fight. I gotta be careful because there are still souls up here. Like, I should just be able to wait and have the curse come off, you know what I mean? But,
Hero.
this is why we can't have nice things. But, like, again, it's like, look, don't play melee characters in this game to, like, break the game. Play it to have fun. I kind of want to do a Whirlwind Barbarian as well.
At your
Like your
service.
classic sword and shield. There's like no way that guy, like a Whirlwind Barbarian, is going to be able to do this game on... I don't know. Like, the stuff that will make a Whirlwind Barbarian, like, playable is like... It's not that hard to get, right? Like, I was looking at some rune words the other day, and like, there's some good stuff, but like... It's not that hard to get, it's also not that easy to get. Like... What was I looking at? Here we go. I was looking at Oath, for example. Now, I have a Pal rune. I really do not want to use a Pal rune to make a rune word because, you know, fuck that. But maybe Kingslayer? Like Kingslayer, I definitely have Mal and Gal runes. And... Like Kingslayer, the damage is low, but the IAS is good. It has Crushing Blow, it has Open Wounds. In a fast base, like but then it's like you've got to farm like a really good base for it. Like, I think I have some decent 4-socket two-handed swords, but I would really want a 4-socket Berserker Axe to make that one. Though, what could I make? I have a 5-socket Berserker Axe, I think. I'm not 100% certain. Yeah, I probably should make a Heart of the Oak for my Sorceress as well, just so, like, I am not, like, consistently being suicided by the Oculus. But, like, the Heart of the Oak doesn't have MF, and it's just like, I don't know, what do I care about having an orb that's just better in a fight if it's not better at
Good
MFing?
afternoon.
Because it's the whole reason I fight with the Sorceress, is like, you know, she's there to MF, that's her job. Her job is to do 80 bajillion Mephisto runs and... Yeah, I keep eating my juvies, even though I kind of don't really need to. I'm so used to just like having a huge chunk of them. Is there any reason to hold on to this? Hold on. Okay, so there's the Death Rune word as well. That's pretty cheap. And that can be made in an ethereal... Oh no, it needs a Vex rune. I do have a Vex rune. Ooh, okay. Alright, definitely. I'm liking the death. But it doesn't have any IAS, and Whirlwind Barbarian kind of wants on-weapon IAS. But at the same time, Jesus Christ, it's like minimum 300% ED roll, you know, in a potentially like easy making an ethereal base with, you know, enormous chunk of deadly strike, with crushing blow, with reduced requirements. That's like kind of crazy. And then we've got the famous Grief, but I don't have a low rune. But yeah, none of these 5-socket thing. Like, if I ever use a two-handed character who uses a two-handed weapon, it's either going to be some kind of unique maul or something, or it's going to be an obedience, because like I don't want to waste like valuable resources on just kind of like beating the game harder, if that makes sense, right? Like if for some reason I was going to play a Whirlwind Barbarian who used a two-handed weapon, like he can finish the game with a Wind Hammer or an Obedience, or like I ain't making him a fucking Grief in a Feral Axe base or something, because like I don't like two-handed
Thank you.
weapons. I'm not wasting like good resources
Afternoon.
on something like that, particularly when they have like much cheaper options that can just clear the game quite nicely. There is also that the Barbarian specific one. What's that called? I don't know. Anyway, this boy's bringing the chunk, he's bringing the funk, he's just going through this act. And it's not even that bad. Like, we just had souls in the frozen river. Like, a really dense, difficult dungeon to go through. But, look, I've said it before, like, souls are so freaking dangerous because of their ranged advantage. So, like, what can happen with souls is, like, let's say you've done everything right. You're playing hardcore, you got everything sorted, your lightning resistance is good, and you're thinking, like, oh, I'm not scared of souls. And you're going through and you're dealing with the souls, right? And then there's like just a boss pack of, souls with like a Defiance aura or something like that, or fanaticism or something, just something like that, like crazy amps their damage, and like they land some crits, they land some like really, like heavy damage rolls on you, because lightning always has like extremely low minimum, extremely high maximum damage. And like they can just delete you, like even when you have a lot of lightning, just even when you have a lot of life. And it's like maybe you just didn't even see that, or you didn't even see that boss pack. Like they literally can kind of snipe you from off screen, and it's just like, but barring those kind of like nasty, one-shot encounters, especially if it's like you're not playing hardcore, it's fine. Then like souls are mostly a patience check. Unless, your lightning resistance is bad and they can kind of just snipe you hard. But yeah, this axe, can't argue about it. There's another little axe. I've got the crane beak or something that has a bit of MF on it. Like, I don't know, I might even just give one of these to my Zerka. Like, the Doombringer is kind of a piece of shit, to be honest. See how, like, you just kind of want to be positioned in a way where you can, like, keep everything locked down, ideally, while also, like, doing damage without having to, like, throw a maul here, throw a shockwave here, throw a shockwave there. Like, the more time you spend flinging out shockwaves, the less time you spend, slapping stuff, giving it the claw. And, it's kind of what we're here for. And yeah, now I'm just kind of bumping my physical damage, because it's like, look, I got 5k fire damage. I don't need more fire damage. And physical damage has value. Like, physical damage can leech. Physical damage, can mess up things that fire damage struggles against. And what was I just saying about, like, 5-socket rune words? No, it was 4-socket, wasn't it? Oh, that's the coolest freaking time for that shit to run out. It is really quiet. Glacial Trail. Just like really chill, easy. Skeletons are like a bit of a faff as an enemy. Because, you know, I can't leech off them. But, like, I don't... You know, we're kind of just walking through. I like... It would be so cool if my mercenary was like... You know... getting involved in this to any extent, you know? Like, he just consistently is like... just fucking around. But yeah, like obviously those encounters are going to be relatively easy when you can like hard CC 90% of stuff. And then you just kind of chonk your way through, right? And then we've got like layers of CC. We've got the Holy Freeze, we've got the Decrep. But at the same time, it's like, this is also, like, easy dungeons like this that are not necessarily easy to path through can also be, like, some of the biggest traps for me, because, like, I don't want to be here. Like, this is literally just, like... Like, there's no gameplay down here. It's just a bunch of enemies that, like, don't have any tools to, like, bother me or hurt me. Aside from just, like, being, like, a wall of meat between me and where I want to go. But, you know, this is when you just, like, put some music on and chill and, like... Because, you know, these enemies, they're not that dangerous, but at the same time, it's like, you could still run into, like, a Fanaticism boss pack and... with a champion pack right next to them and just... get stuck and either be killed or forced to, like, save and exit. And then it's just going to take even longer to deal with it. It was just like... You know, the option is always there to just like... clear the space and move on. Get it done. It's like the old, you know... the old saying of like, do you want it done fast or do you want it done well, you know? I can't do both.
The morning comes.
I should be queuing some of these up.
Not in town.
But it's fine. Like, this is kind of exactly what the doctor ordered here, like just like a nice... relaxed dungeon where I can actually just like stash a few juvies and just kind of like harness my strength for the ancient fight that's coming up. And like, look at the EXP as well. Like, this bar is still moving and I'm level 83, just like taking it so slow and steady through hell. But like, you know, it's not like I'm spending like a week farming Pindle or Eldritch or something, and it's like melting my brain. Like I'm just playing the game, and this is just like what you get for like playing on a higher players count, and you know, not just like running through areas. And this is one of the
At
reasons
your
why I
service.
like, before I will play a character, like it's different if you have teleport,
Salutations.
right? If you have teleport, completely changes your entire gameplay loop. But if you don't have that kind of mobility, then like I'm not even interested in like taking a character through this game until like I have a plan for like, you know, like I am not going to like say, all right, I'll play a Holy Fire Paladin and just hope I don't run into too many fire immunes, because like I know the game. I know where the fire immunes are. I know I have to fight through them. Like, I know I'm going to have to clear 3 Chaos Sanctuaries, right? And, like, in normal, not going to be a problem. In Nightmare, you know, you're fully activated. Like, not that many of them are, like, flat immune. And the stuff that isn't completely immune, you'll delete so quickly that, like, you have plenty of time and space to deal with, like, the immunities that are there. By hell? Like, just guaranteed to have a bad time. So it's like, I always want some plan for like, you know, like when I played through as the Zon, the thing that made that run, like the thing that brought that run online for me, and I was like, okay, now I'm going to play a Zon. Like, I want to play a bow through this game. Was like, I found an interesting bow that I wanted to like mess around with, which was the Ripple. But no curse, no nothing, and just like, look how much damage. Just like randomly shell out. I hate Holy Freeze. It's just another thing in the game where it's like, hey, casters don't care about this, but for you, it is utterly devastating. Interesting. And can you guys just fuck off for a second, huh? Jeez, what is the base damage on that chunk boy? Do you want to kill my spirit? Hey, mercenary, get the fuck over here. I don't know, man. I don't know how people can get attached to the mercs in this game. Like, don't get me wrong, I remember the days when, like, you know, mercenaries were not even worth using. It wasn't like this second little gearing puzzle. You know, you were always alone unless you were playing a summoner. It's nice to have a buddy, but Jesus Christ, they're fucking special. You get the fuck out. And this is just like, in these nice little tunnels, we just have a nice time. And I can't even imagine like ranged enemies being that bad down here. Like, don't get me wrong, they're way worse than melee enemies. They're always worse than melee enemies. Yeah, I should probably actually like pick up the duels as well. We're using the axe, by the way, just if anyone's curious. Like, I know this is obviously like a decent place for it. But you know what? Maybe I will see if I can set this chunky boy up to like do some farming down here. Because these specific areas are good places to farm. That said, I don't know, I'll probably swap him to a fire druid. Alright, I've missed the exit somehow. Wait, that was always the way out? What the hell did I go? I guess I wanted the waypoint? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm doing or want half the time. You know what I do know though? Fucking love hustle. And like legit, one of the reasons why I am so just not at peace with like using a two-handed weapon in this game is because like it's just like, do you want to have fun affixes? Like, would you like to be able to wear a hustle, which is just straight up one of like the most fun quality of life items in the game? Like, it just flatly gives you more skill expression in playing the game, whereas it's like now you have speed, and speed is a tool that you can use to like mitigate damage and, you know, rapidly adjust your positioning, blah 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 blah. Like so many cool things you can do when you're fast, but they're not so strong that they will make up for having like completely bulk resistances. So like you may just be bullied into having to wear like a shitty ass smoke. It's just like doesn't change the way the game plays. There's nothing fun about it. But it's just like you know, wearing it, it's just like having to wear a coat in winter. It's just like you just have to. You just freeze if you don't. It's not your choice. It's not about like
Afternoon.
fun or anything. But you know, at least with obedience, I have some like resistances, so I can put on what I would argue is the coolest armor in the game. And that means that like if I do want to just like ignore an area, you know, it's not free. It's not like I have teleport, but God, it's so much better than it, you know. Like it can get way worse than this basically. Let's put it that way. But you see how much safer a shield can make a fight like that, where it's like, as soon as I switch to walk, like you immediately see me like just blocking some hits and like, you know, it's just free damage negation. Damn, these boys are chunk. Alright. Don't worry. I ain't afraid of no chunk. Like, see, even that, just like being able to like dodge that little ice bolt while like coming in. Like, I'm not saying that was like slick or anything, but it's just like, it feels slick to be able to execute those little plays. And mobility kind of permits it, if that makes sense. But it's way too dicey to like rely on mobility alone as your only survival tool. Wow, look how many super uniques we're getting here. It's crazy. And just like immediately kiting into like another pack of these jerks. I hate these jerks. And you gotta live for those like big crazy fights, like And like I said, we want to stash up some full juvies. So we got to like win some fights without getting bullied too much. And like that's when melee feels fun, when you're kind of like weaving in and out. You know, you're using some of your like util, like getting some life back here with the leech, avoiding the lightning balls. But now it's just like, as soon as these pricks get introduced, it can start to get like really dicey, because immediately the game has just said like your ability to actually kite around stuff without like, you know, potentially like coming into the sight line of like more stuff that's just gonna like hurt you and fuck you up is you know, now going to be like really limited by just RNG, like the placement of quill wrap mobs. Because these guys can just control so much space, and there's very little I can do. You know, like my only answer to them is to just run up to them and, you know, whack them until they die, which is like, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And there's like always going to be some like balance in the game of like it giving you tools, but then having like the enemies to have some like, you know, they got tools of their own. Hold on a second here. Okay, alright. I knew there was some absolute, like, bullshit going on here, because, like, this should be leeching, like, hundreds of life. Even though the leech is going to be halved, because it's hell, because everything has 50% physical immunity. You know, we should still be leeching, like, up to, like, 500 life, per use of it, and I just don't fucking see my life bar moving half the time. Like, I can just be like, just like nom at something and just get like nothing for it. And Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I don't
Good
know if it's just that
afternoon.
like some enemies just have extra physical resistance. I don't know. I don't honestly think physical resistance should impact leech. It's just another one of those things that's just like randomly and like weirdly like mean-spirited debuff to like a mechanic that, you know, it's like, well, here's this mechanic that melee characters can interact with, and in theory it's like a strong mechanic, and it's actually something that like they have that casters
At your
don't have,
service.
like one fucking thing, and then it's just like, yeah, but like, no, that's too much fun. Like we don't want melee characters actually like having like mechanics and fun and feeling like strong or useful. So, you know, we're just gonna like at least halve the impact of that in hell. At least. But yeah, as I say, like a lot of things in this game are just like really janky systems that like come from Diablo 1. Like the whole AR system, it shouldn't exist. Like the only game I can think of, like the only ARPG type game I can think of that forces melee characters to just like have this random uh you know, to just like basically like just be forced to like spread their stats out in like really suboptimal ways if they actually want to hit enemies and do damage. But like without kind of really compensating the like end damage roll enough to like make that valid. And like not giving you tools in your kit to even like mitigate it properly, because the tools in your kit are all percentage based, and percentage based assumes there's something flat to work with. So in reality, it's just like another thing that melee characters have to kind of solve with gear, because like obviously like, you know, they're not gear dependent enough, having their entire fucking DPS like completely bottlenecked by their gear, or having even more intense requirements for like survivability because they have to run face first into everything, not being able to like get away with having slightly lower resistances or anything like that, just generally having a worse time. And it's just like, well, now here's this other mechanic. And yeah, and I that's just like, it wouldn't exist in any like modern ARPG, and it shouldn't. Like it's 100% like, you could genuinely just like make this game better without really messing up the balance at all for the average player, by just straight up just taking AR out, just making it so that every melee attack just guaranteed 100% hits. Because the other thing is, like, melee characters in this game specifically, not so much in other like ARPG games that borrowed the bad mechanic of attack rating from this game, because this game was successful and people imitate success without trying to improve on it, you know. So like, not only is it like, okay, well now as a melee character I somehow need to find room to have dex, I have like way more disgusting um stat requirements just to equip gear that will do damage, right? Just to like equip a weapon that will do damage. Like, look at this. This is some tiny little axe, and it requires almost 70 dex and 125 strength. You know, this, which is actually like a big chunky boy, again, it's like 130 strength, 83 dex, and that's with minus 20% requirements, right? Like, if I wanted to put the Spirit Ward in, which is like the chunkiest shield in the game, like we're genuinely talking about needing like 200 strength. And now it's just like, you know, now it's like, well, you can't even be tanky because. And any thought of like, oh well, I'm gonna throw some points in strength to like amp up my damage. Like that is not an option. You cannot do that in this game. Like, you will just make the game miserable for yourself if you try to play it like that. But as I was saying, there's another ARPG that I really do want to play where it also has an attack rating system, but the attack rating system like is irrelevant to like combat abilities, right? So like the only thing that I would need attack rating for is to hit with like this auto attack. All this stuff would count would work the same way as a spell.
Can I help you?
Ooh, that's not bad. Not bad at all. Yeah. I mean, a little bit of cold damage never hurts for some attack rating, but more so, you know, that's a really nice AR roll. Man, these are like I cannot complain about these 3 charms. Like, these 3 charms are doing so much work for me. Just getting this like flat, almost like 400 attack rating. The other affixes mean nothing. But yeah, most of these charms are like not particularly good. Like, then individually they're not bad. Like, you know, a small charm of Vita is a nice charm, right? Nothing wrong with this necessarily, just a little bit of elemental damage. You know, another charm of Vita, nice. You know, another chunk of elemental damage, not bad. 50 poison damage is pretty decent. It's not worthless. It's kind of like having some just like free prevent monster heal. 100 poison damage is actually kind of chunky. You know, can't even complain about it. But like, man, I wish I just had like a chunk of like resistance charms here, like along with these AR charms, and like, you know, like with the shield, my resistances are not even that bad, and like even with the obedience now that I've got the lightning resistance kind of sorted, it's just like, hey, like this isn't even that bad. But it would be nice just to have like even another 10% cold resistance maybe. Like that would just be like chef's kiss moment. So like, but yeah, again, I can't say the charms are doing like a hell of a lot of heavy lifting and just like sorting my fucking attack rating out. Because like I have so many little like like there are so many like little things that are just like buffing my attack rating individually, but without flat AR, they, you know, their value is not particularly good. Right? So like we've got the huge percentage based from enchant on this, or minus target defense on this. This also has minus target defense. You know, we've got all the multipliers on the sage. We've got the multipliers on, you know, Fireclaw itself, which is like really freaking high, 410%. But again, without some like base attack rating, like, I mean, I could just literally watch my attack rating like go down. Like, just with 3 charms, that goes from, like, 79 to, like, 85%. Just, like... And, like, I know it's, like, you can look at that and think, like, that's 4%. That's a 4% DPS increase, which is, like, really trivial. And, you know, you could have, like, you could have charms that just give you, like, way more damage than that. Are we joking? Like, my mercenary for like the last hour wants to stand 20 feet behind me non-stop, literally just like with his finger lodged firmly up his ass, doing literally nothing. And then when I actually want to kite stuff, he like refuses to walk away from it.
The morning comes.
This is what I mean when I say like ranged enemies just fuck you. They just take all your choices away from you because it's like
Hello.
my only option now is to just like, you know, like I say, is just like to physically just run into it and like hope I kill it before like I aggro something else. And like I can't even fucking stand here without like getting picked at by them, and then like they're threatening to like drag me out of position down there and potentially like kite me into other stuff. And apparently I can't even walk into the fucking quill rat. Like the game just like has a literal seizure because, you know,
Good afternoon.
I'm a melee character and I want to fucking walk up to something and attack it. And apparently like, you know, we're so at the point of like just taking a fucking thump on the head of anyone playing a melee character that like I can't even walk up to an enemy without the game literally having a fucking panic seizure that like I maybe am going to do something, and God forbid. Like it
Afternoon.
literally seems like the game is breaking because I'm not just being like fucking cucked in a goddamn corner. Like it just can't tolerate that. And it's like, how many times did I have to go back to town to just wash this piece of shit curse off that a fucking range character can put on me from like, you know, so fucking far away and just make the game completely unplayable. Like, it's just a shit mechanic. Like, just get it out of the game. If someone make a mod that just fucks it off out of the game, like, I immediately just download that mod. Like, I don't care what else you put in. But it's just like, yeah, and ranged enemies being able to like apply a curse on you that literally makes the game unplayable from that distance. Like, I'm sorry, no one playtested that. And if someone playtested that and playtested like that same scenario with like an Amazon and a sorceress, and then playtested it with like a paladin or a barbarian, and was like, no, you know what, this is fine. It's totally fine for this mechanic to just be like 500% more devastating to like anyone
Can I
playing a
help you?
melee class. I'm totally at peace with this balance. Like, no fucking way. Bullshit. Like, I'm genuinely dubious as to whether this game was playtested at all on Hell. Like, at all. At fucking all. Aside from just like maybe just randomly like
Salutations.
cheating your way into some dungeon and just making sure all the like you know, whatever scripting and stuff like that functions and so on. Like there's no fucking way. No fucking way. And if it was playtested, it was playtested exclusively with like, you know, a sorceress basically, because it's like one of the few things that this game actually feels genuinely good to play. Or just sorceresses and casters generally. And yeah, I keep forgetting to actually get juvies. might actually be worth bringing the no, it's not worth it. Like, like I'm just like trying to think it over in my head, and I'm just like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna like, you know, trigger the fight in human mode where I can literally just be like one shot by fucking Mad Orc, so that I can have teleport and, you know, maybe be able to like pull them apart a little bit easier. All three of those motherfuckers were just immune to fire. All fucking three of them. Two of them are immune to fire now. Like, even like stuff like this, where it's just like, do you know how easy it is to separate the ancients if you have teleport? Do you know how long you can just spend like running pointlessly around here, just like hoping for something to happen so that like maybe you could take this fight? Because you don't have teleport, even though I have 80 fucking % faster run walk. The fucking decrepify on the whirlwind. Alright, we might actually just have to reset that then. That sucks.
I can't.
Oh, and I don't have any freaking town portals. Alright. Oh, I can't move? Alright, well, that was fun.
Afternoon.
I mean, kind of my bad for not getting the town portal scrolls.
Hello.
Afternoon.
Alright. Let's just get rid of that.
I can't carry anymore. Put that to good use.
Oh, fuck it, I can't bother with this shit. Alright. Luckily, I got the waypoint. And of course, it's like a 7-mile hike from the waypoint to
Thanks.
the summit, but this is a hell of a lot better than having to go back from you know, the freaking bloody foothills or something. And honestly, yeah, not even that bad.
At last. The summit
Yeah, fuck it,
of
that's
no
enough.
end.
If it's not enough,
We
right. Oh, cursed. Okay, that's so cool. Like, you know a mechanic is bullshit when it's just like, have you ever
What is
seen
it?
someone be like, the ancients have curse, but that's okay?
How may I be of
Specifically
help?
when they're playing a melee character. I've seen people deal with cursed ancients. I've dealt with cursed ancients playing a Boazon. Because you just slow them 75%. What the fuck are they gonna do? Yeah, except, you know, Holy Freeze can just eat a bag of dicks. Oh, fucking curse again. Like, do you see what I mean by, like, when I say, like, it's just fun tax? It's just like,
Good afternoon.
I want to fight the ancients, right? But, like, I basically have to, like, roll. Okay, I don't know what the fuck happened to my mercenary there, but he just got absolutely deleted, so that's cool.
Afternoon.
How may I be of help?
Not in town.
As I say, I want to fight the ancients, right? But it's just like, what is there to interact with here, aside from the slot machine of, like, pressing a button and hoping that no one has curse, no one has extra
Hello.
strong, no one has fanaticism, blah, 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 blah. Because I can't interact with any of those mechanics. There's nothing to interact with.
We
And now it's just like, play a walking simulator for like 2 minutes and hope that they get split. Like, in fairness, you know, the boss fights are kind of like... Actually, I was going to say the boss fights are kind of one of the weaker parts of this game, but realistically, that's not true. The boss fights are one of the better parts of the game. It is that Ancients is just a shit boss fight because it's RNG. Okay, I genuinely did not fucking...
Good afternoon.
Jesus Christ. Whatever, I'm not even going to say anything about it, just fuck curse. Are you joking? Like, this shows you how common curse is. This is like, because there's 3 uniques here, the odds of me not getting a fucking curse. We just got another curse. I almost got killed, like, before I could even make a portal.
Good afternoon.
This mechanic, single-handedly, will make me stop playing this game. I had the audacity to think they might have been split, but I'm not playing a sorceress. I don't have teleport. I can't even fucking use a teleport staff because, you know, fuck me, right? Like, I'm a druid. I don't have enough fucking negative shit about my character. I can't even fucking teleport. Like, cast shit from a wand, anything like that, you know, anything? No? Alright. And now we're actually just playing a walking simulator. I genuinely don't know if I can do it because the mercenaries is making it impossible. Admittedly, I could have put this down to play as one. Made it a lot easier. I'm genuinely like out of potions now, and I should have gotten more, but it is what it is. I can re-roll. What I really need is actually to just get them separated. And it's just never going to fucking happen because of my mercenary. Like, even if I could just, like, isolate so that, like, the mercenary was fighting one and I'm fighting one. Like, that would be good enough, but he literally just won't let me have that. Whatever. I'm just... fuck it. I don't care. I'm, like... I'm not gonna, like... sit here for 20 minutes just hoping for, like, some luck and for something random to happen. Let's just crank that down. Honestly, probably considerably better off just ignoring the mercenary. Like, just letting him die and then not rezzing him. In fact, if we get a really balked spawn and they just kill him quickly, I'm just gonna fuck it. I'll just do this on my own and genuinely miss it. We have 2 immune to fires, and I just don't have the patience for it. Should have put this on players 1 like at the start. It's just like instantly like, oh okay, now I can just like get through. Oh, okay. I didn't see you had a holy shot, Laura. This is kind of fucked, especially with the mercenary gone. It's fine. I just need to be, like, really patient. I can't hit that fuck. Like, it just will not let me hit him and leech. It's like, I hate it so much. I hate that it's like, oh, here's my moment, whiff, whiff, whiff. You know? Like, I've done the right thing, can I do some damage now? No, whiff, whiff, whiff. Nope, sorry. These are uniques, you just can't hit them. You're over leveled for this, but you still just can't hit them. It's fine. Again, like, you know the ancients are gonna be miserable when you're playing a character, like when you're playing a melee character, you know it's gonna be a miserable fight, right? You know it's just like, you're just gonna spend a lot of time just kind of fucking walking around and like hoping something happens, or just re-rolling affixes until you get something that's like, oh, there's no curse,
How
there's no
may I be of
aura,
help?
there's no extra strong, there's no this. And you'll get so impatient that you'll probably try doing it with like, you know, some like suboptimal stuff, and, you know, just have a generally bad time. So like, again, it's like, look, I understand that like I sound pissy with this shit. I'm not gonna pretend I'm not. But like, this is not the bear's fault, okay?
The ancient.
Like, if you think you would have an easier time doing that as a vengeance paladin, like, I got news for you. You won't. If you think that's gonna be like free and easy as a berserk barbarian, good news for you. It ain't. Concentration barbarian, even worse because you got shit damage. Like, at least berserkers hit hard, right? I don't think they hit this hard. At least against the non-fire ones. Hold on a second. A, yeah, I want to make sure we're on plays 3 for the keep. B, Jesus, one charge when I'm amp damaged almost just like completely deletes most of my health bar. Like, look how long that curse takes to wear off. And that's literally just a curse that a normal enemy can just put on me, like, for free. If they're on the tile set, I'm cursed. And no, I'm never going to stop talking about how that curse is a piece of shit. And it's not like, you know, like, I will play a sorceress, I will play an Amazon, I will have the curse on me, and I will just be saying, like, look how I can actually play the game. Like, you know. Like, it's just fucked to have something that is that ubiquitous that just, like, completely invalidates, like, a third of the builds in the game. And at that point, I cannot believe that that's any kind of, like, intelligent thought went into that game design. It is 100% just like throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks at that point, and then not really playtesting it to see whether it's particularly like comfy or not. Because no one makes a game like this and thinks like, okay, we're gonna have all these great builds, and then we're just gonna make a bunch of them. Like, we're gonna make like a third of the possibilities that players have, a third of the way they have to play the game, and we're just gonna say like, fuck you for even trying this. Like, this is not supposed to be fun. Like, you can barely fucking play the game when you try this. And not in the sense of it being like a challenge where, you know, there's like fun things to interact with. It's just uninteractable shit will just be like fucking placed on you at a whim by pure RNG. Where like, if this exists, you have this thing on you and now you can't play the game. Like, look, I just instantly got cursed again.
Hello.
And when you start dealing with shit like this, what I'm about to do is the only like sane and rational reaction. Is you just say, thank fucking Christ I'm playing softcore. And this shit just doesn't matter.
Good evening.
Because if I were playing hardcore, it literally would have taken me like 40 minutes maybe to like just slowly fucking grind my way down to that staircase. And I'm no stranger to grind. And I do not mind grindy gameplay. But there are limits. And consistently being bullied back to town to clear an effect off your character that can literally just be instantly placed back on you when you get back, but also makes the game unplayable, that's not gameplay. That's literally forcing you to stop playing. Like, extra fast holy freeze. I literally cannot even run away. Like, come on. It's not that, like, it won't even be, shouldn't even be that bad now that I've, like, kited them away and get my mercenary back, but, like,
Yes?
come on, game. Like, things that just should not be in this game, unless they were, like, rebalanced to, like, hurt casters as much as they hurt melee characters. Holy Freeze is one of them. It's not as common as Curse. That's the only reason I'm not, like, constantly talking about how shit it is. But, like, tell me this is fun. This is not fun. Again, it's one of those things where it's like, if it were interactable in any conceivable way, like, if it offered you any, like, smidge of fucking gameplay to, like, outplay it, rather than just like, well, look, here is this thing. If you stand next to this character, it completely fucks you and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't put gear on that helps you. There's nothing. There's nothing in your kit that helps you. There's literally nothing. If you stand next to this character, you suffer. You just have a bad time. And now it's like, oh, by the way, you are a melee character. You have no choice but to stand next to that character. You don't have any other choice. Like, stuff like Holy Freeze is deliberate attempt to, like, grief people playing melee characters. And that's fine, but it's like, where are the deliberate attempts to grief people playing a Sorceress or a Jabber's or a Hammerden? Like, excuse me? Like, where is the curse that just completely fucks you? Where is the aura that just completely fucks you? Like, even the most dangerous auras in the game, like Defiance. Defiance, like, as a sorceress, you can just freely ignore it. If they're like, if it's on, like, zombies, if it's on skeletons, if it's on, you know, anything that doesn't have a ranged attack, you can just ignore it. It's just like, you just laugh at it. It literally doesn't matter. The only concern it is to you is like, oh, maybe they'll melt my mercenary, poor guy. And then it's like, even if it is on a ranged enemy, like, if they're kiteable, if they're like, if they have the kind of projectiles that you can just easily dodge, like, you just physically dodge them while doing damage back. Like, it's so, like, that is an example of something where it's like, it is actually interactable for ranged characters, but it's not interactable for melee characters. And it's like, you know, what the game genuinely needs is to be like, oh, hold on a minute, melee characters have to, like, suffer through all of this, like, shit and misery that casters don't, and, like, where is the power that they get for that? Like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, well, I get all this health, right? But I'm just a bag of, like, soggy meat. Like, anything can just chunk 500 health off me so easily. Because I have no, like, effective, like, mitigation. I have no block chance. I have, like, everything that wants to hit me just hits me. Like, if it crits, it just chunks me down so fast. Like, there's so much health in the health pool that, like, health potions stop even mattering. The only thing that actually matters is, like, whether or not I can leech
Good
back.
evening.
But whether I can leech back is dependent on whether I can actually hit them, and hitting them is this whole bullshit layer of RNG that, like, only relevant if you're a melee character, because, you know, fuck you, right? Like you start getting in and actually, like, peeling back the layers of, like, how badly the game is just designed for melee characters. Like, just how, like, completely indifferent the devs were to, like, making it fun. And it's like, genuinely, like, all they need to do is just buff everything. Just buff everything. Like, give Bear passive resistances. Give Bear, like, flat melee damage reduction, right? So, like, instead of it just making you, like, a fucking wet sack of jam, where, like, yeah, you're fat, but that's it. You're just, like, a fat piece of shit that just gets hacked at by everything, right? Your health is, like, completely yo-yoing, and it's so, like, bloated that potions don't even matter anymore. Like, okay, how about you give me physical damage reduction, right? Instead. Now it's like, damage reduction means my leech is more valuable because, you know, because I'm physically taking less damage. So what I leech back has more utility to me. It makes my health pool, like, less stupid. Like, you know, health pots can actually, like, function now. You know, like, just literally things like that. Like, it's just like a big part of the problem with this game is that, like, you have shit like this where, like, I get defense bonus, and defense is a non-functional mechanic. That for some reason, it was like, defense was, like, exposed as non-functional by the players who actually play this game within, like, a month of the game coming out. It was known, right, that you can literally finish the game very easily wearing something like this if it has good affixes. And conversely, you would make your life much harder having a 500 defense armor that has bad affixes. And as I say, so, like, that was just, like, exposed and demonstrated within, like, literally, like, a couple of weeks of, like, actual gamers playtesting this game. Like, people actually just really playing the game. And it baffles me that, like, how was that not exposed in playtesting? And, like, the whole system just completely reworked. Like, that's one of the reasons, flatly, one of the reasons why playing a melee character just stinks. Because, like, so many of your skills and so many of your items and stuff like that are just, like, statted for something that is totally worthless to you. And to me, that's like genuinely unforgivable. That like this game had been out for so long when they like, you know, put the druid and all that sort of stuff in the game, and somehow like, you know, somehow didn't know that like, you know, giving the bear like a defense multiplier is like a griefing level, you know, affix is completely worthless. And acting as if like you're, so, you know, like, you know, when you're making characters and stuff like that, you have to like, everything has to be balanced, right? So if you give them one thing, you can't, you know, you can't just be like, oh, well, we'll give it, they have defense and they can have attack speed and they can have attack rating and damage. Like, you know, there's some
Good afternoon.
balancing philosophy behind this, right? Where it's like, if we give them power in one way, it means, you know, it means they can't then have power in another way. And so many things when you like, so many things in this game as a like melee character are balanced around giving you a type of power that is like fucking worthless. Like things like, look at the number of weapons in this game that just like, you know, they just have like a bunch of like absolute dog shit affixes and they just don't do damage. And it's just like, what? Like, was there ever a point where people were under some kind of misapprehension playing this game about like how much damage weapons need to do? Because I find that really, really hard to believe. That it's like they didn't know how much health the enemies had. And just like to do a really rough kind of like stat balance out where it's like, okay, this is a normal item base, so we judge it against the health of normal enemies. This is an exceptional item base, therefore we judge it against the health of nightmare enemies. This is an elite weapon base, therefore we judge it against the health of hell enemies, right? Now, the base damage of all items outside of normal is just too low. Like, normal you can punch your way through, and if you have any weapon, you'll just be fine. Assuming you have a decent build, like you're using a decent build or something. Especially if you're using something that has elemental damage, fire claws, holy fire, whatever. Like, normal is just free. Once you get into nightmare, it's like the damage on your weapon actually starts to matter. You actually start to need like not just that may just be a reroll. I really hate that. It's like I did nothing but shockwave that pack, and just the boss
Yes, for you.
just like crumpled my mercenary like he was freaking wet toilet paper. And it's just another one of those things where it's like,
Put that to good use.
oh look, here's an enemy that is bordering on being uninteractable if you're a melee character, because their melee abilities are just so overtuned that like if you start giving them stuff like extra strong or fanaticism aura or might or anything, like they just literally like two-shot you. While, you know, meanwhile you can have like really good weapons and like really high damage and they just laugh it off because they're so just comically overtuned. And it's, you get the feeling, right, that it's like, am I really stuck? Alright, whatever. I don't care. I'm not fighting through that level again. Like, I don't know that I'm going to fight through, like, any level of the World Stone Keep now because I'm just in a bad mood. So I'm just going to run through, and if I get stuck, I'll just save and exit because, you know. Like, I'm just sitting here, like, saying, like, please give me some gameplay, like, give me something to interact with. Give me something that is not this just, like, binary, the only way I can interact with it is saving and exiting, because it's physically impossible to, like, fight past it. Like, no matter how, like, slow, no matter how, like, chill, like, you know, no matter how careful I play, it's literally just gonna, like, you know, swarm me at, like, ridiculous speed and just delete me instantly. And I feel like we may just be stuck again, and that's fine. Like, it's fine. And, like, this is when it feels
Hello.
miserable playing a melee character, where it's like the game has taken all your buttons away now. The only button you have left is this.
Yes?
And all it needed to do was, like, spawn one, like, completely bullshit boss back. Because now it's just like, look, I've already fought through this level, I should not have to do this again. But, like, whether or not I can run through this level is going to be RNG, and that is fucking fine by me. Like, I will just roll the dice until I get through. Yeah. That's fine. It's a load of shit, but it's fine.
Good afternoon.
It's funny, like, all of that was potentially manageable until the curse went off. And then it's just like, curse, might, whatever, doesn't matter. But, like I said, like, when... I hate having to do stuff like this in games. Like, I want to interact with the game, like... You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to fucking interact. I want to play the game. I don't want to skip the game. But I genuinely feel like the game just does not give a shit about whether or not I want to play. Like, it does not actually respect me wanting to play. We're at a point where it's just like... Like, can you imagine how much I would have suffered trying to get through that shit? And what's my incentive to do it?
Salutations.
Literally nothing.
At your service.
And it's just like... I don't know. Like, I hate doing that kind of cheese, where it's just like, I'm literally just going to run through the tile set, and if I see anything I can't run past, I just save and exit and do it again. Because, like, I've loaded myself up with the waypoint, and I know it's just a sprint, and eventually I'll get lucky and just run through it all and skip it all. And it feels so miserable to be brought to that point. And it's like, I'm almost glad to be here now, where, like, I don't really have the choice to skip stuff anymore.
Thanks.
I really want to crank the player settings back up for the actual Bale waves, but, like,
Good afternoon.
I do not want to have to play this at, like, a snail crawl, because I'm going to consistently be getting cursed by these assholes. And if I put it on players 1, I can ignore it a little bit more. It's also like, I understand that I kind of, like, make my experience worse by cranking up the players count. But like, let's be real. Like, if you have some like shared stash and you're not doing a like players one is for challenge rounds, basically. Like, this is Fire Claws and I'm just one-shotting it, like one-shotting, two-shotting everything. Like walking around with ant damage curse on my head not being melted. Like, it's too easy.
Thanks.
Like, things like this. Like, who playtested this and was like, oh, okay, I know, this is like the penultimate challenge in the game, right? Let's have the guy consistently place a curse on you that hard fucks melee characters and just doesn't bother cast as much at all, right? Like, you cannot tell me that that was playtested by someone who was like the same person played through that as, I don't know, a summoning necro, as a singer, as a sorceress, as whatever, and then played through it as like a zealot, as a concentration barb, as a whirlwinder, as a, you know, fury druid or something, and was like, yeah, cool. This is reasonable. I totally understand why there is this uninteractable mechanic that like halves your DPS and allows enemies to do 50% more damage to you. Like, only halves your DPS if you're a melee character, and only increases the damage they're doing if they can hit you. So if you have ranged advantage and you use spells, it is literally meaningless. Aside from just like maybe messing with your ability to like dodge some things. But even then, it's like if you're a sorceress, you just use teleport. Like, I really hate that kind of like, let's just depower the player type game design. Like, especially in a game like this, where, you know, a huge part of the gameplay loop is like you farming, like wasting a huge amount of your time to make yourself strong. And then it's just like, we just completely shit on and disrespect all the time that you spent playing and doing that by just saying like, nope, we're just gonna halve your power, go fuck yourself. Like, that weapon that gave you that much damage, this is halved. Sorry, I don't care that you spent a month farming it. Get fucked. And it's like, I don't like those mechanics like at all, right? I don't think that's a good way to design games. It's a really bad way to design games. And you know, if you design games like that, like in this kind of ARPG space, more often than not, they will fail. This game didn't fail. This game couldn't fail. And I'm not saying it deserved to fail, but it, like, this game was like, there are so many things that make this game lightning in a bottle that's just like, it's the story, it's when it came out, it's the voice acting, it was the complete absence of like any realistic competition, it was a lot of things, you know? Like Blizzard, man, Blizzard just like had that up and down, right? Their whole, like, so many of like the big Blizzard hits are just like as games, not particularly impressive, like not particularly amazing exhibitions of like game design and like balancing ethos or anything else, but they just came out at the right fucking time. Like, they just completely lucked into some like, you know, lightning in a bottle formula that just like really popped off in like pop cultural kind of terms, where it was like, these were characters people liked. They liked the art styles, the voice acting, the energy, the visual appeal of the games, etc., etc., etc. you know? Like, legitimately, like, the only one of, like, the big Blizzard releases from its era that was, like, really impressive from, like, a kind of, balance standpoint, I suppose, is, like, StarCraft, maybe? Like, I think StarCraft was one of the first RTS to introduce a kind of, like a numerical rock, paper, scissors system, right? Where it's, like, it's not just a question of, like, oh, okay, here's this unit that's, like, fast and can kite, so, like, it can counter the melee unit, and blah, 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 blah. But it was more like, oh, okay, so these, like, heavy units do extra... I tried to heal that guy. I even heard the potion. But I'm not missing the potion, which is weird. Anyway,
Afternoon.
we'll just grab him back. Go finish these guys off. But yeah. But even then, like, StarCraft was, like, technically kind of primitive compared to a lot of the RTS games that were around at the time. The story was, like, not particularly, like, original. The world building was, like, blatantly unoriginal. Yet, you know, massive, 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 like, lightning in a bottle. And it kind of just shows you, like, I'm not dumping on Blizzard, but it's just, like, you know, well, like, look, when they actually have to, like, like, when you give them real competition,
Of help.
I don't know. They're a company that will, like, do really well when they just have, like, a monopoly, when everything is, like, free for them, basically. Like, you look at, like, how well Overwatch did. Like Blizzard almost, like, wanted Overwatch to fail and just could not make it fail, because for so long it was, like, like, there are other hero shooters, but they suck. Let's be real. Like, they just suck. They're ugly. They're not polished. They're not optimized properly. Like, even Marvel Rivals, which is kind of like, you know, the big competitor to Overwatch now. Like, Marvel Rivals sucks. Like, from a technical standpoint, Marvel Rivals is a terrible game compared to Overwatch. Like, it's technically shit. Like, the specifications are horrible. Like, your hardware, your frame rate can literally impact your fucking DPS, and can even impact, like, your ability to use certain, like, in-game techs and mechanics and stuff like that, right? Like, it's like, from a competitive standpoint, it's so, like it's so shoddily made, right? Like, people talk about, like, the Blizzard polish, and it's like, that's just a fact. Like, Overwatch has polish. Like, even if you just look at things like character animations, right? Like, genuinely, like, seriously, look at the character animations in Rival Marvels. Like, they're all just the fucking same, right? Like, all the female characters just kind of, like, prance around like fucking K-pop girls. You know, there's no sense of, like, real character in the animations. It's not, you know, whereas, like, it's crazy. It's like Overwatch does a better job of, like, giving you a sense of character in their characters, and these are characters that, like, you've never heard of before. Like, they're completely original. Whereas, like, Marvel, like, Rivals is working with these characters that are so, like, entrenched in, like, the popular consciousness, and yet still can't bring as much character to them. Ouch. Chunky boys, immune to fire. That's fine. I don't like skipping the minions of destruction. Hurts my pride.
What is it?
I don't know if my mercenary can stay alive fighting them, though. But we just have to split them up, maybe. You know, they say if you're going to be dumb, you need to be tough. And since I'm not tough, I can't afford to be dumb. It goes both ways. But look, we split them up a little bit. The nice thing about the bite, like, Okay, you know what they should just make bite. Okay, they can't make it like smite where it always hits because then it's just kind of like a better smite. It's just like a smite that keeps you alive while you're smiting. But what they could do is they could give bite rather than giving it like an attack rating bonus.
Thanks.
Give it a reduction to enemy defense, right? So it's something that can like consistently hit, or even just give it ignores target defense, so that like it can consistently hit against like non-super uniques and ag bosses. So it's like, okay, well now the bear isn't kind of like, you know, just a better smiter where he can just walk up to a boss and be like leeching while, you know, constantly proccing crush. But like at least now you can say like, oh well, now the bear and the wolf can just kind of like, you know, be really tanky in just like a normal fight, like as long as there's a unique enemy around for them to kind of leech off. I'm trying to really carefully watch my mercenary's health, but like look at this. You just get it done. And this guy's fire immune. But like the obedience doesn't care. Like you put some points in there, you put some points in the Sage. The one thing you do not lack for as the bear is damage. But yeah, like imagine if Bite just had ignores target defense, like immediately, like, and imagine if like instead of just giving you like extra life, this also like this gave you some like physical damage reduction, like a little bit less life, but you know even 15%, even 20%, just to like make up for the fact that like you don't have a shield. And like, are we even the tiniest bit worried about Baal? Like, I've seen people do like Fireclaw Druid and get to Baal on players 1 and be just like slowly chunking and saying like, oh well, Baal just has a lot of fire resistance, and it's like, bro, you don't need to play it that way. Like, you don't need to fall into that trap. Like, everyone can get an obedience. You know, just put some points in there. Put some points in Heart of the Wolverine. Like, it's gonna help your attack rating anyway. And now you actually just do physical damage. Like, the fire damage is just kind of gravy on top, right? I wonder if I can even leech back up against Bale. Like, the hit chance on him is so low, and then his block chance is so high. But like, slowly. Look, the bite can still hit crushing blow. So this can be a surprisingly safe way to take down a boss, but like, not very reliable. I mean, look at man, just hitting Bale is such a freaking ball ache. He's so smart, but he's kind of harmless. Like, once you proc up on him, it just completely breaks him. And you know, you can give your, there's so many things you can give your mercenary that break Bale, like so many items with slow. You can even just grab an item with slow, like in your off, and just like switch to it. And if you're fighting Hell Bale and you haven't found even one unique with slow, they're not that rare. And there we go, you know, the bear just got the job done. It wasn't too bad. The things about it that sucked were things that I knew were going to suck. Oh man, when I see Rum walk and MF on boots, I get like a little twinge of excitement, but yeah, nothing great there. Give me my portal, boy.
I can't carry any.
And there you go. It was clawing time. Clawbia successfully clawed all over everyone. And as I say, the bear, as much as I like grumbled and complained, at so many points in that game. You know, if you've ever seen me play a melee character in this game, you know that's just like a certain amount of bitching is going to occur because of things like amp damage and blah 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 blah. But like, hey, you know what?
The ancient.
For a melee character, like I genuinely thought I was going to like start this up and you know play for like 10 minutes and then just like get to hell and be like, oh god, I need to respec into something else. But no. Like the one thing that I never felt like I really lacked for was damage. And, you know, this equipment could be so much better. Like, you know, there are way better one-handed weapons, there are way better shields if you want to play like the safe route. You know, this could be so much better, this could be better. This could be good like dual resist rares. This could be like a good dual res you know, but honestly, like even just one really nice like dual res rare here, like if this was just better dual res boots, then we're basically just sorted just on that basis alone, and then you know we can be like a lot more free with like the belt. Kinda have to keep these on for the fire res, but like you know what I'm saying. Like you get better gear, you have more options. Like even just put Amara's on, and you know just go to town even if it's like a bad roll. Have like sort the resistance out on these charms rather than kind of like having all these like little bits of elemental damage and stuff like that. And this is just like you just do lower Karust, you'll get the charms, you know, they come. Like the main thing on this, the most important item is this, because the one thing that made this feel good to play was the ability to like actually like deal with problems with just like raw damage. And this is where like this is where it came from. Like this is a good little axe and the damage on it is not bad even without even if you're not looking at the Fireclaw damage. Like let's see. But you know, it's like 1,000 damage a hit. That's getting kind of anemic. It does have Deadly Strike, so it can easily proc for like, you know, 2k damage. It's pretty consistent hitting because it's got the minus target's defense, and it's very, very freaking fast. So you're gonna land a lot of hits. But this is kind of like if you were gonna use a weapon like this, like you wouldn't use a hustle. You'd want a duress or something, which would kind of be ideal. Like that, like maybe have like a duress and like a single-handed weapon. You know, but I like this setup because honestly, like very very few characters in this game can use a two-handed weapon and not like make me like it's just like it's just suffering to play with a two-handed weapon, right? I don't like it. I always use a shield if I have the choice because I've talked about it before, right? It's like you look at this on a class that has a terrible shield, right? Even against the end boss of the game, that shield is still just flat, reducing 23% of the physical damage I take, and up to 33% of the elemental damage I take. And those two things can like stack, and that's ignoring everything else the shield does, which is not that impressive. Like there are way better shields than this, right? But there are also like, you know, you could just have like a Moses Blessed Circle with 2 diamonds. And now it's like, now the world is genuinely your oyster because your resistances are just freaking sorted. And you will also have way better block. So you'll just be playing so much safer just with that one gear piece that's not even hard to find. And now you just play around, you do whatever you want. Like you can put this on if you want, right? So that kind of makes up for, to some extent, for not having the obedience. Because at least the enemy is having some fire damage reduction, and then it's like, you know, then you can start looking at like whatever one-handed weapon you want to actually roll with. But all in all, you know, this has been a surprisingly pleasant and easy to gear character, and one of the things that I found most kind of surprising about it was like once I just had like the basics, you know, you know, like I definitely could have gone back to the shared stash more, right? And I could have played around a lot. I could have made a duress. You know, I could have made some like really strong one-handed weapon, like a Kingslayer or something. I could have gotten a way better shield to use on swap. Like I could have ground like way better charms. Like there's so many things I could have done to like just gear this character better. Even things that wouldn't take any grind, like literally just go to my shared stash and take this or try this or mess around with that. But genuinely like surprised and pleased by the fact that like I just didn't really feel the need to do that. That's always like a good feeling. Where basically like, yeah, I hit some like definite concrete walls, but like there was no way to solve that with gear, basically. Like, yeah, maybe with like elite rune words or something, right? Yeah. But like the real walls that I remember in this game, in this playthrough thus far, were like the biggest wall I hit was Tarash's Tomb with the Unravelers. There was like a really hard grind, and then I just hit a spot where like I did not have the DPS to push through it because it was just immune to fire skeletons being healed, and just like here's an Unraveler, and right behind him is another pack of skeletons with an Unraveler, and right behind them, so like diving the Unravelers was just physically impossible because of the map, and we just had to re-roll it, and then it was just nice and easy. Like Act 4, Act 4, we just kind of strolled through. Like, I knew it was going to be a slog, so I just set it down to play as one, and we just kind of walked through it. It was super, super easy, super, super comfy. Like, Iziel died so fast. Diablo got chunked in, like, no time. Mephisto fight, uh, Mephisto came so close to one-shotting us with charge bolts, because our lightning resistance, like, we didn't have this Orc rune, it wasn't so great. But I could have fixed that at any time. You know, we had souls in the frozen river. It was slow going, but it wasn't a problem. I wasn't like constantly dancing with death. And I think that's the main takeaway for me with this build was like I just played through the game with, you know, a druid with a two-handed weapon and just for the most part felt pretty safe. Like the things that were like putting the fear of God into me are things that like will put the fear of God into any melee build. Like just consistently having curses dumped on your head, fanaticism, death lords, Stygian dolls, stuff like that. You know, like no one has a real answer to that. But generally speaking, just going through, just being super safe. I will say this guy with this holy freeze aura and like the constant decrepify procs from this, chef's kiss. Absolute chef's kiss. Like I can see why people value Reaper's Toll so freaking highly. Absolute freaking Chad, this guy. But you know, maybe the playthrough would have been smoother if I just switched him up to Might. Like it might have been a little bit more dicey, I suppose. There would have been more. Like I definitely would have taken more damage, but also would have done a lot more damage, and especially the physical damage. You know. But yeah, all in all, just not that bad. And with the combination of like high physical damage and lots of crushing blow and then just like thousands and thousands of like fire damage on top of that, just didn't come up against too much stuff that I just kind of couldn't hurt. And obviously, again, this carrying a lot of weight for just dealing with the physical immunes. But yeah, all in all, I don't know, man. My feelings on the bear have like really softened. I still think the bear is kind of like a useless character because like this is like what am I gonna do with the bear now? You know? Like I guess I could get a rhyme, I could get that like axe that has some MF on it, and then it's like, but then where do I get any other MF without completely like breaking this build? I suppose Chances, but then I have bugger all fire resist. The belt could be a gold wrap, I guess. This isn't doing anything so important. So like, yeah, it could go a gold wrap. Can't really replace that. I need those resistances. But maybe a Nagel, maybe, you know. Yeah. I mean, resistances, you know, you have the Rhyme, which is a little bit worse than that. But you also can't be frozen, so then I suppose I could switch that with a Nagel. And, you know, like, but then it's just like, why not just use a Berserker? and at least then you have find item. But yeah, all in all, bro actually like did me proud. Generally, way more impressed than disappointed with the bear. And I think the key here is like, if you think the bear is going to be miserable, if you think the bear is going to be a slog, just do yourself a favor, get yourself an obedience. Like, you don't need to spec into all of this, right? Like, this does not need to do 10,000 fire damage. Everything that isn't fire immune, this will kill so fast, even, you know, without being like crazily pumped up, especially with an obedience on top of it. Because obedience is removing a bottleneck to your damage, which is extremely potent, right? Now it's like, so what, you know, you just don't need that much fire damage. This is enough. This is 5k fire damage. So why not, you know, throw some points in here, get some more physical damage. Like, this is not a bad physical damage multiplier at all. This has gone up to like 280%. You know, now you get your Heart of the Wolverine and you get like another 150%. And now you've got more attack rating as well. Like, to be honest, the better, like, I would probably take all the points out of this and actually max Bear instead. Because you just get more base physical damage from Bear. But, you know, whatever. It's like, I'm not fussed about min-maxing it. It did the job. The only thing I would say, and this is the only thing I'm just gonna like say, is like just don't lean too hard into this. Like, you're still a freaking bear. You can still do a lot of damage to stuff that's fire immune. Like, we can just go through that again. Like, look, it's 1k to 4k damage. That's enough, man. And then the fire damage is just like gravy on top. Like, anything isn't fire immune. Like, you saw it. It just get popped like zits. Like, they just cannot freaking take it. And the stuff that is fire immune is like, yeah, you know, like, sometimes it can be chunky, right? Sometimes they take a bit of chunking. But, like, you've got, like, good, like, consistent, like, AR. You're hitting consistently. You know, you've got crushing blow. So if they're really tanky, you just, like, kind of crush them down. You just chunk them down to size. And you just deal with it, right? And if you need time, you stun. And you just stun to get time and kill them safe. All in all, very happy with the bear. That's why I'm kind of babbling about it. And, yeah, he has a terrible name. But I don't know why when I first started this game, I just wanted to give everyone a name that started with B. So I had, like... like I wasn't even trying to think of anything, like, clever. It was literally just like, okay, what's just a random name that starts with B? Anyway, thanks for watching to anyone who did. Probably be doing something else tomorrow night. We shall see. Very tempted to do that X-Men Legends thing, like I said. Just want to really, like, for anyone who does watch, like, just show the difference in, like, the melee gameplay loop in that game. I will say that game is not as hard as this game.